Wednesday, my dude.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. It is Wednesday, my dudes. How are you, my friend?
I am doing great. I'm so stoked. We have a good friend of the show on today, which we'll get to really quickly. But how's everything with you?
I am so excited. I'm so excited as well. We need what he's giving, so we will bring him on soon. Just please do want to remind everybody to make sure to like and subscribe. Smash that notification bell, all that good stuff. Really happy to see everybody here. You know, I can't believe we ever used to do one show a week, because now just between Sunday and Wednesday, I kind of feel like I need to get back in that rhythm, and I kind of forget. Like, I can't believe that we just did one a week. How did we make it through?
I mean, life is speeding up. There must be some Buddhist explanation here, but like it's just accelerating at a pace of shits and shits. And
yeah,
wow,
we're gonna have to figure out a way to make our Wednesday night title also scatological somehow, huh? Or something.
Yeah,
with two.
I think we can do this.
That's our whole vibe. All right. Well, so before we bring him on, we are thrilled to have today Derek Rasmussen, a civil disobedience trainer and organizer. He co-founded the first East Timor group in Canada and the Alliance for Nonviolent Action in the 1980s. Derek did a 3-year Buddhist ministers training program in Canada with teachers like physicist David Bohm, as well as Tibetan and Burmese monastics. He's taught meditation in Europe, New Zealand, USA, and Canada. He lived in, oh gosh, I'm going to say this wrong, Iqaluit Nunavut. He'll have to correct me when he comes on, for 12 years, researching lawsuits to protect Inuit rights. He's written chapters in 7 books and been invited to give talks at 12 universities, including Yale and Harvard, and recently finished a PhD focused on appreciative joy and how it can support activism. So we welcome friend of show, Derek, food activist. Hello.
I have to confess that you're really here. This is our therapy, because we need some cheering up more than anybody at this point.
Oh gosh, you guys are my therapy 3 times a week, so I don't know how this is going to work. We're
That
all
is
going to
so
be lying on the couch at the same time.
That's right. So, you know, we first knew you as Buddha activist, and recently you changed your name, and I had a hard time pronouncing it as we put forward one of your comments. Did not realize it was the same person, but it was about the opposite of Schadenfreude. So maybe that's a good place to start. How are you? Why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Yeah, that's my other YouTube longtime channel. The word in it, mudita, means appreciative joy. So that's what I've been studying since I began activism. I didn't really want to do this Buddhist stuff, and I wasn't interested in it at all to start with. I thought it was pretty much a waste of time. But and I was doing civil disobedience. I think I got arrested 5 times, blocking a Tomahawk cruise missile factory in the Toronto area, and then training people to block other places. Even helped organize a blockade of the Pentagon once.
Wow.
Where we took kryptonite bike locks and locked the outside doors. That was in the 80s.
Good for you.
Organized by the Berrigans. Sounds really great until you realize there's a subway stop under the Pentagon. So we didn't. But remember that? I remember Oliver North being blocked in the parking lot, coming and couldn't get into our set of doors. He was really ticked off. That's a small victory if you're pissing off Oliver North.
That's a good day.
Yeah. And but after multiple arrests in Canada, the judge said, if I see you again, you're going away for a long time. And
no more protesting empire.
That scared me, because I thought, if I get locked up with this mind, for a long period of time, I'm going to go crazy. I'm not exactly a very pleasant person to be around, and I don't like myself very much. And so I was mostly working with Catholics and Quakers, and no shade on them, but I just didn't feel like anything they offered was going to help me if I was locked up for a while. So it was mostly out of pure selfishness, no altruism or anything like that. I went looking for a meditation teacher who could help me if I was locked up and give me something to do. And when I did find a teacher, because the first 5 teachers I found, no good at all. I mean, they kept saying things like, have you figured out what problem you have with your father that makes you? Yeah, exactly. And I would be just like out of there, you know. And and then the 6th one, he said, what do you do? And I said, I'm a peace activist. And he said, excellent, keep it up. Do you want to talk to my group tomorrow? And I said, sure. And so, and then he said, look, if you're going to keep doing this stuff, I'm going to have to teach you about appreciative joy, because empathy has 2 sides. There's empathy, you know, with suffering, but there's also the ability to empathize or see goodness in the world and be uplifted by other people's joy, not just other people's suffering. Right. And in the Buddhist tradition, these have to work hand in hand in a balance, like empathy for good and joy, as well as having empathy for suffering. And so he said, if you want to keep this going for a while, you're going to have to learn this. And there's actually trainings. And this isn't something we actually see in some of the other, it's not particularly religious, and there's no monopoly Buddhism has over appreciation or joy.
Right.
That's silly, really. So, but there's a way to study and cultivate it, and it does. And I guess it might work, because I mean, 40 years on, I'm still doing this, and I haven't completely burnt out yet. But I mean, that's partly a virtue to gatherings like yours and these things, you know, that keep us going. I think the whole community knows this every time we chat. You know? I
mean, I think we feel it very strongly, and we want always to remind ourselves in the midst of, you know, how frustrated and sad and angry we are, what we're fighting for, which is the joy and love and family and community and people, like humanity, right? So, but there is that weird guilt of ever feeling happy when you know there's so much suffering.
That's a kicker. It's like there's actually a Bertolt Brecht poem where he says, within me there's a struggle between the beauty of the apple tree in blossom and the horror of the painter's speeches. He's referring to Hitler. The painter's speeches on the radio, but only the latter forces me to my desk. It's like we only get motivated by the bad stuff that makes us go and do things, right? And when I finally had started making some headway, which I won't say how many decades it was into my meditation practice before I finally started getting a little bit of headway, but I said to my teacher, you know, I'm finally realizing that the apple tree and blossom can be as powerful as the Hitler speech on the radio. But it's partly getting past that thing where we feel like we don't deserve any happiness or joy, and you have to be active all the time.
Yeah.
And you know,
that's a hard one. And I know we're going to, you know, you have lots of material that we want to share and have you explain on the activism, but just to go back to some of the lessons that you have referred to in our communications are about Indigenous people who, and, you know, one of the things I think is really difficult for people in the West is we've been so ingrained in our heads that this is a meritocracy. And if you pull yourself up from your bootstraps, and some of the best stories are like those sports stories of the little guy winning because he just worked hard enough. And instead of being the ninth batter, he became like all of that kind of stuff. And some of us who feel like we've been, fighting for a while, that's actually there's like a short amount of time in comparison to the suffering and fight of so many other peoples. And then also to feel like you're doing it and you're voting and you're going out and you're canvassing and you're writing your senators and you're participating in different actions and then nothing changes. There's like a defeat and a depression that you I'd love for you to explain what you see in the Indigenous communities you've worked with that because they have not succeeded either in the way that we all hope to succeed, right? To get rid of the top 1% and the empire and the colonization and all that stuff. It's a constant struggle. And yet you said that there's like a sort of peaceful coexistence with the struggle and also finding joy or something. But so, yeah.
Yeah, I think civilizations that are much longer lived than ours, like ours is a pretty young thing, right? It's only been around. Like I used to do a workshop in the north. I was in the north in Nunavut, which means our land in Inuktitut. I was there for 12 years, and I still work with organizations up there. There've been I used to do a workshop with them called "What Makes White People Weird," and just to explain, because often, like even a couple of the leaders would say, we don't have time to go into these negotiations with federal lawyers. We have to go over the same material over and over. You go deal with them. And I get sent off to a negotiation. And when I started training folks inside the organization, younger Inuit, I would say, like, you have to understand how bizarre and unique this de-indigenized civilization is. This is the first time we have a de-indigenized civilization. The civilizations running the planet is not rooted anywhere. It doesn't have that kind of identity. And it's very, very, very young. It's like juvenile delinquent civilization, has the keys to dad's car and it's just burning donuts in the parking lot, wasting everything and hitting people. It's just a really kind of a nuts civilization compared to these ones, these mature civilizations that have been around for 10,000 years or 5,000 years. Or in the Inuit case, there's an anthropology study in 1967 in an American journal that calls the Inuit civilization the widest spanning, longest lasting civilization on Earth, because it spans with a common set of tools and language and humor and myths all the way from basically Greenland all the way to the Siberian coast. It's this huge civilization. And I remember Lewis Mumford saying something about the fact that we evaluate civilizations with carapace archaeology. Like if they leave behind something solid, we think they're great. If they leave behind an aqueduct or a pyramid.
Right.
He said, what if this is like crabs who die on the beach and they leave behind a shell and that's how we evaluate them? But what of all the soft stuff inside? What if the civilization has like the best form of child rearing that's ever existed, but it's soft stuff and it disappears. It doesn't leave a carapace. And that's what I think you find when you spend time in indigenous civilizations. And if you come to be accepted there, because let's say for you guys, if you were to go out on the street, let's say in Los Angeles today, and I said, go find an elder, who would you go to?
Yeah.
I
consider myself the elder at this point.
Well, yeah. As I said, and it wasn't puffing you guys up, I've done years and years of university, but I would say to 19, 20-year-olds, follow this podcast for 3 months and you'll basically save yourself a four-year political science degree. You don't have to do that kind of thing. You can learn it all pretty quickly. But an advantage I find in indigenous civilizations is they have elders and they don't disclose who they are. As some Inuits have said to me in the past, there's a difference between elders and geezers. There's a lot of geezers. There's only a few elders, and the difference between elders and celebrity is that when you honor and elevate an elder, you don't feel diminished. You feel elevated as well. Whereas in the dynamic we have through Hollywood with celebrity, when you just feel diminished in relation to a celebrity. Yep. But with an elder, you don't. And that's how you know if the honor is real and if you're in a relationship like that. And almost nobody these days gets to build that social muscle of honor. And, which is a huge loss to us as white folks, right?
Yeah. It happens often in institutions of higher learning, but then there's a degree of celebrity and worship. And now we're seeing how they're also corrupted anyway. So, but yeah, it's also only available to a certain strata of the population, right? So
and it costs money.
Yeah.
Right. And for example, in my tradition, in the Buddhist tradition I'm part of, it's forbidden. You don't charge money for teaching, and there's no relationship based on money. It can't be. So, and a teacher, that means, doesn't have to accept you. I struggled. My teacher kept projecting me and was really mean to me for like 20 years. And it was very hard to get teaching because, go figure, he said I was really selfish and hateful and really difficult to teach. And so it was really tough to get him to teach me. But yeah, so these are relationships that you just can't buy. Yeah. And, but they're transformative. So one of the things I'd say, is one of the pieces of advice David Suzuki, the environmentalist up here in Canada, said he learned from the West Coast First Nations people is, it's kind of a short form, but he says, stay put. As much as you can, learn the local, because 80% of the world's resources are going to 20% of the people. Right. And this has created something we call, you can call a world of powerless places at the mercy of placeless powers, but those placeless powers actually have a huge blind spot and weak spot, which is they don't actually know the local very well. Right. And you'll know from the fires in California and things. Yep. As Rebecca Solnit's written in one of her books, A Paradise Built in Hell, she says, first responders are not the ambulance. First responders are your neighbors. Yeah. And this is something, when we have power outages up in the north, there was a little place in the middle of Hudson Bay that went without power for a week, and everybody moved into the gymnasium in the school, and the hunters went out hunting, and they could survive being minus 40 for a week because the hunters could supply them. Yeah. I'd also say, in an inspirational thing, I hope that these sorts of stories don't get circulated down south, but if you look up Land Guardians in February 2021, you'll see that at the very north end of Baffin Island, there is the richest iron ore deposit on Earth. They don't actually have to refine the iron ore. Baffinland found it, and they just basically take a bulldozer, take it out of the ground, put it in a ship, take it to Finland and smelt it. And it's extremely concentrated, very high quality. But they're breaking all their environmental laws, taking this stuff out. So the Land Guardians in February, basically 5-6 elder Inuit hunters pulled up on the runway and parked their komatiks, which are the sleds they tow behind a dog team or a snowmobile, and blocked the runway. Meanwhile, Canada figures, Ottawa, it's like a 2,500 mile or trip by jet to Iqaluit, and then you got to take another jet 800 kilometers north to get to this place where they're doing it. You can only fly in certain conditions. So they mobilize a SWAT team to go get rid of these people. But it takes them a week to get a SWAT team mobilized and up there. And by the time they arrive, the hunters have left. And nobody knows who they are or will snitch on them. Right. But according to an injunction Baffinland asked for in an Ottawa court, they were losing $7 million a day while that runway was blocked.
That's excellent. That's excellent. Yeah.
Things that happen in, indigenous communities. You've probably seen this throughout the States as well, right? Yes. And with the pipeline protests and so on. Yeah. I think there's just a lot to learn by aligning ourselves with indigenous groups and yeah.
Well, even like with the wildfires last year in January down here in Los Angeles, it was the communities who took over the parking lots of gas stations and cooked for each other or brought water. We had, oh my gosh, I'm going to forget his name now, the mask, he was a very COVID conscious person, but also then got the masks going because our response, the first responders had nothing, sorry, Pat, I
that. Yeah, those gas stations. That was amazing when they used. There was one gas station. They were concentrating everything there. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
I was just going to say to your point about your psyche of never seeing, balancing it out. So we put all our energy into activism and electoral stuff, and we don't see wins there, right? So on a local level, you can go hand food to somebody, you can give them water, and that's the joy that's guaranteed. Like, this other stuff may not be worth it at all. We may get nothing out of it, but that dude's gonna get food and water. So
yeah, I've mentioned it before in one of our exchanges, but I went to a workshop by a theater organizer, facilitator from Nicaragua in the 80s. And he said, everybody thinks that armed struggle is our main form of resistance. He says, that's only one form of resistance. It's only one part of what we do. He said the other part, and then he laughed and said we use electoral politics and legal means. Then he laughed and said, and most of those people get assassinated. Ha ha ha. He goes, but they still try, but they all get killed by the death squads. So he said the other aspects are just as critical to this battle, and everybody ignores them. And they're your healers, your educators, your spiritual people, and your musicians and artists. You have to have all this together. If you don't have a resistance.
I like
this. This is it. This is it here. Yeah. And I mean, the fist is, the other thing, but this was him saying this.
Yeah.
And it was so important to me to understand all these, if we're going to have a long-term struggle, find a place, find a lane, and offer something.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. And there's an LGBT Buddhist teacher activist down in Arizona, Maya Dewar, and she posted one day, this is about 15 years ago, just this sentence. She said she was driving, she does prison abolition and prison support work. She was driving to a prison to be a chaplain for the morning, and the sun was coming up, and she wrote on her Substack or whatever, she just wrote one sentence. I just figured out that the words reactive and creative have the same letters in them.
Yeah.
And that to me is the test. We can't just be reacting.
Yeah.
We want to be creative, guerrilla theater, humor, music,
right,
food, gatherings, helping each other, lots of things to do. Don't just think of it as this one narrow avenue you have to do to be an activist.
Yeah. Well, okay. So speaking of that, let's get into the other part of your work, which is finding the hiccups. So, finding the places, the choke points in the production of these horrific weapons that are being used, have been used, for decades, but are now being used by Israel and the US for their genocide. So and I'm going to see if we can do something so that we look more normal. That's maybe how it's going to be. Sorry. Okay. So if you want to just sort of like,
sure, I'll just go through and say next slide kind of thing.
Perfect.
This is an abbreviated slideshow I've done with a few Buddhist groups and Science for the People. And this is my hero. She had a Burger King in Ottawa in the 80s. We sat across from each other, and she told me this exact story that she has here about she'd been a nurse in South Vietnam, and her hospital had been hijacked by American troops and used as a base, illegally, of course. Right. And she'd gone to the embassy when leaving in Paris for the North Vietnamese, and said she wanted to go back and do medical care up there. And they said, why don't you go back to Canada and stop the bombs coming here? And reason that matters is she then went and did the research and found out there was 1 ton of Canadian nickel in every B-52 flying over Vietnam. And so she made the direct connections. This isn't something most Americans may know, but for the longest time, and it may have been eclipsed, but for the longest time, Canada has been the #1 parts supplier to the American military industrial complex. So a friend of mine used to call it a relationship like the eagle and the jackal. The eagle does all this killing and stuff. Meanwhile, the jackal makes all this, gets all this benefit out of this. We're the jackal up in Canada. And we have, since 1959, something called the Defense Production Sharing Agreement, which means we are a domestic, there's no exporting to the US. We're considered the United States. We're a domestic supplier to you. So there's no necessity to make export permits. So anyhow, if you go to the Canadian Parliament, in honor of Claire here, I'll say, who's a fantastic anarchist and also got me into prison abolition work. That was her where she's better known in Canada. If you go to Canadian Parliament into the observation gallery around the top, you'll notice none of the pews or benches have legs on them. That's because Claire would go and lock herself to the legs with a chain and then throw pamphlets over on top of the MPs. And eventually they had to change the seating structure for the entire observation gallery.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
All the chairs, because Claire kept going up and locking herself up there.
Amazing.
Yeah, she's a fantastic hero. Anyway, we'll go on to the next one.
Yes, okay.
Too long. There's a lot here. And this we can skip over. You know this. This is capitalism likes monopolies, and that makes it vulnerable.
Yes. Okay.
And here's a quick example of, you probably know, there's three main suppliers. There's a shortage because US and Israel are doing so much bombing. There's a shortage of TNT. It's mostly made by three companies: Solar from India, Thales, Australia, and Nitrochem in Poland. And this is just to show you, let's go to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
The Nitrochem boats stop at this little place in Saguenay, because you can't bring huge shiploads full of TNT into a populous, a very populated eastern seaboard port in case something happens. We've had the Halifax explosion in whatever it was in the 30s or 40s in Canada, where a ship was docked and blew up the whole town. So they bring it in through this little tiny nowhere port in Quebec, and that means let's go to the next one.
Yep.
There's very narrow bottlenecks in some of these shipping pathways. Now, here's activists have been working down to General Dynamics, blocking down there. It's more difficult. It's easier to block it at the arrival point where it comes in. And everything we'll say here, to follow one of Lila and Pat's mantras, is, and of course we're speaking about nonviolent action of the most law-abiding and civil disobedient variety.
We do not support Luigi.
Going farther, we're just putting this up so that the government can protect it harder.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah, exactly.
We want this is a warning.
Protect
this dangerous location.
These things, Anyway, let's go to the next one.
Okay.
This is probably this is actually something, I'm a big fan of the Colonial Outcast podcast, and you guys may be as well. But Stoker, who mentioned that he'd only ever seen one 2,000-pound bomb drop during 4 tours of duty, and here we have 600 of these were dropped in the first 5 weeks, and I don't know what the total is of these things
for those precision strikes.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Exactly. Yeah, no. This is just it's a kind of unprecedented level of horror directed at civilians that's just impossible to wrap your mind around. Let's go to the next one.
Okay. So now, there were a couple that I think our numbers might have gotten off, so I hope we're doing that. I'm doing that. I pulled everything that you wanted, but this is for the propellants. Is that correct?
Yeah,
okay.
Propellant. See, I was looking at I was doing all of this research, by the way. Everything I'm describing here, you guys could do as well. Anybody who with a grade 9 education and a laptop can figure this stuff out. Right. All this info is on the internet. Yeah. And I just found this, an article. I was looking at the TNT supply chain. Sorry. And then I noticed that there was an article in a military journal saying, well, yeah, we're short of TNT, but we're even shorter of propellant. It's really hard to get. And so this is the one factory that makes the propellant for all the US 155 millimeter shells, which are the main shell that are all tube artillery uses, all of Israel's tube artillery uses. Let's go to the next one.
Okay, and sorry, Stephen is asking, it's the one that Greg Stoker was on. What was the name of that podcast?
It's called Colonial Outcasts.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
And is that his podcast or?
Him and Mark Wayne, yeah.
Okay.
And, they do it. It's really fantastic.
Okay, good to know. Colonial Outcasts. Okay.
Yeah, and they sometimes talk on their Patreon, not on their public YouTube, a lot about tactics and things like that. Yeah. And this is just to show you where the factory is. Let's skip to the next one. Let's stay with this one for a sec, because there's something kind of funny here. And I'm kind of interested in, I've talked to a couple of friends. I think we're going to maybe do a podcast. A friend of mine has experience running true crimes podcasts.
Okay.
I said, I think we need to do true war crimes podcasts.
Yeah.
Where we actually track who are the war criminals and where are they? And let's actually say what their names are, where they live, and where their places are. And if you'll notice, this is the factory. That's the company town just beneath it. And no word of a lie. We're not joking. It's called Nitro. Quebec.
Jeez.
That's the company town that makes the propellant. That all these shells, when you see every day, you'll see accounts of artillery shelling southern Lebanon or Gaza.
Yep.
Those are 155 millimeter shells almost exclusively, and they're almost exclusively flying on propellant from this factory.
Wow. Oh,
it's amazing. Yeah, I would love it if we had like 10 of these guys named, just like we're starting to name the AI guys and the tech bros destroying the country. Let's
and the
get
IDF
list going with these
right?
guys.
There's the whole Hind Rajab Foundation looking for those kind of war criminals. But yeah, all of this. Because they can't sanction all of us, or maybe they can.
Look, and that's, I mean, we'll get to the F-35 in a minute, but as soon as you look at the Quakers site called, it says Gaza Genocide Companies for the Quakers, you'll see that they're almost everybody in the United States lives near a factory like this. And even, I mean, for 2 years when I was working, doing protests at the cruise missile factory near Toronto, we didn't do anything illegal. We just went out and leafleted the workers, and just talking to the workers and doing that is just an important aspect. So people can actually, you can address the moral issue and say, look, we understand you have to make a living, but isn't there something else this factory could be used for that would be better? And, bring that up. So let's head on and see what else we got here. Okay. Here's the article that I stumbled on. That the propellant is actually in more short supply nitrocellulose than TNT itself.
Interesting. That's interesting.
And it has to come from this one place in Canada. Anyhow, on we go.
Okay.
Here's more about the shell. This is just the proof. This is actually the bottom right of this is from a US supply document that actually names the details, just to show that we did the research.
So you bring the receipts. So has this always been done this way, where weapons manufacturers are getting the different parts of their products from all over the place? It's always like that. Yes. And because in their minds, it makes it faster, more efficient, because you've got one place just doing one thing over and over, but then that also gives that room for those choke point hiccups.
Well, this one, for example, was a military town and a company-run place in the 40s during World War II. Then it got privatized and became Valleyfield Corporation. Okay. And then, because of the wonders, this is actually an advantage for us. The wonders of capitalism is consolidation and removal of competition. So General Dynamics from the US comes in and buys out Valleyfield. They own this factory now because they want to integrate a horizontal supply chain. They want the whole thing. They want to make the shells down in Texas, but they want to own the propellant as well. But it creates vulnerabilities. Capitalism is naturally vulnerable because it gets rid of competitors and narrows supply chains.
Right.
And we also have the ability to protest any product this company makes. So even if it doesn't impact the war directly, well, your mayonnaise you bought from Del Monte is somehow tied into this. So, whatever. That's not an actual connection, but
no, and also, very few of us pay much attention, probably didn't do geography in high school anymore. I'm sure it's an outdated subject, but and let's not go back, because I'll just let people remember that map we looked at a little while ago. These are rural roads in an agricultural area. One rural road amongst a bunch of farmers' fields headed to a factory. Right. Like, you can put 1 million people in the street for a No Kings rally, or 60 Canadians can go out with a banner, and I'm sure that totally law-abiding, but heaven forbid that the road gets slowed down or traffic gets blocked, or all the people.
That's such a good point. To actually focus that dumb parade towards something that has an effect. Wow.
And there are examples like this. There are thousands of factories across the United States just for the F-35 program, for example. Or, in a moment, we're going to talk about Columbus, Iowa. And Rajab, the connection there. So as soon as you start doing the research, you see this is, there's something I saw once. Go ahead, Pastor.
Oh, I was just going to ask, is any of this, to your knowledge, impacted by the Strait of Hormuz being closed? Like, is it impacting weapon production that you know of?
I don't know that, but some of the chemicals coming out, I imagine must be necessary, but I don't know that for sure.
Gotcha.
Yep. Okay, so Hind
Go
Rashad.
on. Yeah, here's Hind, and let's go to the
Yep.
section. So here's the shell that killed the paramedics that were coming to rescue her. And it's made by Day and Zimmerman. Their head office is in Philadelphia, but the shell itself is dated to a 1996 shipment that was being held probably in Israel because the United States stores a whole bunch of ammunition in Israel so it can draw down on it when it wants or give it to Israel when it wants. And this was all released from that storage. That's probably how this ended up in the Merkava tank that fired this shell. But this is the next slide shows you the factory. These are the people in Columbus, Ohio, who helped to kill Hind Rajab, and we can know they should know that they played a role in this. And even if it's leafleting the factory or going to the local coffee shops in Columbus and putting leaflets on people's menu tables and along their menus and saying, just so we know, did you see the movie? Well, this we played a role in this.
Yeah. Yep.
And you don't have to convince them all, but 2-3 people working there can have an impact.
Exactly. And we shouldn't lose faith in people's moral conscience, that people will be upset when they they find out. This is a good point. Exactly. Yeah. We're going to see this more and more as we should always be looking for choke points, narrowing places where, who supplies the stationery. I've worked in a concrete factory. If you've worked in a factory ever, you know what it's like when the cafeteria truck pulls up outside. Who drives that cafeteria truck? Where are the different things coming from?
Right.
Who does the electrical repair on the building? There's always inroads to talk to people or to think about pressure points on a factory. This is one. We have a couple of peace groups in Canada that were doing research, but I dug into this, and again, just through looking on the internet of publicly available sites, I discovered that there was this sensor that was being bragged about from a tiny Ottawa company. There's only 20 people who make it. And there are 3 of these sensors in the F-35, and it's sole source patented technology that means it can measure the amount of little metal fragments in the oil pan, so you don't have to pull the engine and do regular maintenance. You only do it when there's a certain need for it. So it keeps the planes flying more.
Right.
So this was critical. And if this isn't supplied, nobody else makes it. It's proprietary technology.
So you basically take the planes out of service longer. Right.
And if, one of the things you can do, I did in December 2023, it's annoying as hell, but I listened to an entire Armed Services Committee of your government, an Armed Services Committee hearing that was, there's 2 hours of it. This is all publicly available. And in it, they talked the entire time about the F-35 and how close Lockheed was working with Israel and how fantastic it was going. And Michael Schmidt, the general in charge of it at the time, said, but we have one problem, which is we use a just-in-time supply chain. And if the parts don't arrive on time, the whole supply chain grinds to a halt. He said this could be labor action or a shortage or any kind of hiccup was the word he used, stops us in our tracks. Well, that's a kind of an interesting thing to know, isn't it?
Yeah. Did he know he said it out loud?
Yeah, he actually said it on 2 or 3 occasions. And the video I sent you, that I researched and put on YouTube back in March, we found it found him saying it live, audio of him saying it. So, so let's go on to the next one. Here's a pic. This is a tiny little. That's the engine below there, but the sensor itself is, about that big. It's a small little thing.
Wow.
Let's go on.
Yep. Okay. So this is where I'm concerned that maybe this was getting then to the end part. Is that what you're?
I think so.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure.
To the end. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I pulled this just because I think it makes it so clear and I love it. I don't know. This is where I think maybe I maybe added a couple more, but I just love it because I do feel like, as somebody like my kids went through public school through 8th grade and, had to be a room parent every single year. And the principal was always like time, treasure, or talent, right? There's so many different ways that you can be part of things and help make things better. But I mean, I love this, the 5 fingers that make a fist.
Yeah, like when I was training to be a Buddhist minister, our teachers required us to go out and get St. John's ambulance training, which is the free training up here, so that we were all able to do basic first aid. I think that, if we're looking at practical skills for a revolution, everybody should basically learn how to do first aid.
Yeah,
we should all learn. When I was in this Buddhist seminary I trained in, is on 400 acres north of Toronto, and I remember getting poison ivy one day, and one of the teachers came up and said, "Okay, do you know plantain? It's there in the parking lot. See that plant? Plantain, and burdock at the base of that tree. Okay, rub those together, make a poultice, put it on your poison ivy." Worked better than the stuff I bought from the store. It's like, I didn't know you could do things like that.
Right. Yeah.
But learning basic plants local to your place, basic field medicine, you can make a list of things, but practical skills, that would be
100%. And that dialogue always comes up when people are talking about, oh, you got to hit the gym so you're ready for the revolution. I'm like, that is the lowest tier of helping the revolution possible, and is probably just going to get you killed if you got like 6 months of karate training or something. Like, that's not the solution.
No, you don't want to have an Indiana Jones thing where you do your thing and then the cop just pulls out the gun and shoots you.
Exactly.
This is so small, but I'm sure I know you're not going to go through 198 methods of it, but if you wanted to address any of them or just.
Yeah, I did. I wanted to actually address this in a slightly different way. You can find this online, but when you go through the list, you know what you won't find on here? Encampments. Students came up with something new that hadn't really been done. We don't give them enough credit. You guys probably, I know you guys are youngins,
Keep saying it. Keep saying that.
Yeah. I'm old compared to you.
Yeah,
but
sure.
when I started, at 20 doing activism and civil disobedience and stuff, let's just go back to that other one.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. I just wanted to
or even just forget it.
Yeah, I just wanted to see your face first. We're all so small. Yeah.
As soon as I say youngins, you want to emphasize.
Yeah. Now you get the spotlight. Go.
That's right. Let's roll out the fossil for comparison.
Stop it.
Here's me in high school.
But I went to the encampment at U of T, went repeatedly. That's got to be one of the most uplifting things I've ever been through in my life. Also, just the understanding of feminism, indigenous rights, the
intersection of all the issues.
Yeah.
The political smarts that I didn't have. Some people would argue I still don't have. But, it's like decades it's taken me to figure this stuff out. And these people, they're like 22, 20, and they have it down.
It was so impressive. And I went to Columbia.
Right.
Yeah.
Those kids are so much more, they were so disciplined. They had knowledge and breadth of history. It was really astounding.
Well, they're so effective, which is why it's the number one target in the administration, is to shut down the encampments and the colleges and make it basically illegal to form those kind of things.
Or to have knowledge for kids.
They don't want our unity. They don't want people who support Palestine to also support healthcare for everybody. And that intersection is scary to these people, and it should be.
Have faith, Pat. Have you ever been whale watching?
I have.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. The boat I was on, the whale went under the back of the boat towards the front, and we all ran to the front with our binoculars, and we waited, and about 90 seconds later, it popped up over to the right, not where we expected at all.
Right.
And that happened the entire journey. We would go to one side thinking it would come up and would pop up somewhere else.
Right.
That's how I think about this activism. It's like, I trust these students. Man, they're so smart. I figured we think they're, it's like whack-a-mole. They've gone under. They're not gone. Something will come up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And that to me is what I'm looking forward to. And I wanted to show the 198 methods because they came up with something, that we didn't, that isn't even on that list.
Yep.
But also it's important to think of protest as not so individualistic, that they are able to do things. Like, what I admire is when people work for good, but with logistics and planning, intelligence, compassion, like just all of these aspects.
Right.
And we can work with all of those. Working for good doesn't have to be kind of rainbows and unicorns and just like a one-off thing you try yourself. Like these young folks had a lot of smarts, tactical smarts.
Yeah, and with ICE, for example, in Minneapolis, the cities all started communicating massively. They're like, "Hey, we got a couple cars leaving our part of town. Pick them up. They're here's the license plates." You know,
Brilliant. And a lot of that had started because of the Black Lives Matter protests. There, that they'd gotten to know each other. They had those phone trees and all of that. Yeah.
And that also was intersected with the indigenous anti-pipeline movement.
Right. That's right.
And so folks pull on these things, right? And it doesn't disappear, it just goes under and comes up somewhere else.
Yeah. Okay. Is this?
I just wanted to show this because this gives you an idea.
Oh, sorry. This is for the F-35. I don't know why it popped in here.
Yeah, no, that's okay. But people will see the map in the middle is the United States, and it gives you an idea of, how much there is going on in the States. If you want it to be, protesting it, there's Raytheon, Northrop, Honeywell, Moog, Pacific Scientific, VSI, McCormick. They're all in California. So, there's close to 1,000 companies in the States doing just that one contract, because it's the most expensive weapons system in history, more expensive than aircraft carriers or anything. It's about $2 trillion total. And it's basic. Many people, call it a flying paperweight. So it can be used against like unarmed populations, which they figured out how to use it to kill unarmed populations. But when there's an opponent fighting back, then it's more, it gets shot down. Still, this is all about the military-industrial complex, profit for a handful of billionaires and the elites. So.
Well, and look, if our politicians don't care at this point, and we've seen that we're powerless with them, what's the next? Who's next in line? What can we do? We can shut down some production facilities. We can make it unpopular to work there, be involved with them, own their stock, buy any product that they're affiliated with.
That's right. Which is why they try to make it illegal, the BDS movement, right? I mean, they take away every avenue to try to protest their genocides.
Is this an original Far Side?
It is. This is one my meditation teacher used to carry, and I still think it applies across various disciplines. He would say that he said basically you have the first one is optimist, the second one is pessimist. And but he said, I really want to get you to cheeseburger. That's what I got to get you to as a meditator, but also as activists. We have to get out of this business of positive or negative or optimism and pessimism. Right. We have to try. This is what I mean about creative, not merely reactive, but something brand new. You guys are too young, but there used to be something called Monty Python's Flying Circus.
What? Come on, I know.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. And the opening line was, and now for something completely different.
Yep. Yeah.
So.
And as Steven says, I mean, that's what I was thinking, the lesser evil. It's like, well, is it, you got to vote for one. These are only two choices. And it gets you in that binary thought process, which incapacitates us and just.
And do that if you need to, but it's not hitting the nerve of change we need.
Right.
This system is incredibly vulnerable. That I remember seeing an analyst point out that there a gun someone who was in the gun reform movement saying, the reason we created the National Rifle Association, the NRA, was a matador's function. It's basically because when the parents started actually protesting at Remington and Colt factories, that was dangerous. That hurt our bottom line. We needed them to go after something else that would keep them distracted. As long as they go to NRA events and focus there, they leave us alone. Our bottom line isn't affected, and we can make as much of this stuff as we want.
Oh my God. Wow. So they're doing the cheeseburger thing from the beginning. Like we have so much.
I call it the matador function. Like look over here, over here. So don't get distracted by that. Look at what's going on in your neighborhood. What your factories in your neighborhood are making some of this stuff for sure. In Canada, across Canada, there are 300, arms factories across Canada. There's every Canadian town has one. Every American town has one. And then there are other issues as well. It's not just this. As you pointed out, the great examples you cited from the ICE work, this is where we learn how to do this kind of community building.
Yeah.
And I also think we're seeing communities of people that have never been activists coming together to fight the data centers.
Yep.
Yes.
And it's because it intersects it all, it's like it's jobs, it's your gas bill, it's your electric bill, it's water bill,
It's the AI
and so
that's killing people.
If we can get them in that movement and then also get them to see an actual win, we stopped the data center. So, hey, you're against Palestine, the Israel genocide.
Yep.
Join this now.
And
let's
stop
go.
saying it's left, right. It's not. It's up, down. That's the issue. It's up, down. Yeah. This is it. It's not a left, right thing. I mean, the French Parliament decided in 1740 to put a bunch of bourgeois people sitting on one side and a bunch of royalists on the, and that's how we decide to call our politics left, right. That's an idiotic reason to talk about this. It's about whether you care about the people or you care about the elites. That's the balance we should be talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amen.
Yeah. Anyhow, this is something we've already mentioned, but the quote I gave was from Bill Reese. He did this ecological footprint work back in the 90s. It's really important to understand this imbalance, and also maybe I hate to say this part, but that these kinds of patterns of exploitation and extraction have been going on since Canada and the United States were founded. They're not, something is. I think we all get a little bit annoyed when the entire discussion gets into, well, if we only dealt with Israel, this would be solved. No, this has been going on for a long time.
Yeah.
And, this also, I think we have to start realizing where we have alliances on the right without, what gets called the right and the left is workers, people versus the elites.
Class. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I had an American friend, a liberal friend, contact me, after the January 6th thing and say how terrible it was. And all I said was, well, if those people had been marching through, Capitol Hill because of Medicare for all, and rioting, would you still say it was terrible? I think the important thing is that we understand the people have to take back some control here.
Yeah.
And, this system is not going to listen to you. So can you put some, where's your leverage?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Where do you have leverage over this system? Oh, this is, I
recognize that guy.
You do, yeah. I didn't know until very late in life when I gave a copy of the biography of Che to my father. I knew my father was from Buenos Aires, but I didn't realize he was 4 years older than Che and was in the same rugby club and the same yacht club. Isidro, they learned to sail at the same place. And anyhow, it's my father's from Argentina. But we lived this Claire Culhane. We started off with my anarchist nurse friend. She used to always say, we live in the belly of the beast. This is where the work has to be done.
Yeah.
We're in the luckiest place. I say sometimes to folks, look, if the entire world domination empire was being run out of Guinea-Bissau, we'd all be screwed. Like we can't do anything about Guinea-Bissau, but thank God. I mean, it's horrible, but thank God it's actually happening where we have some chance to have an influence over it.
Yeah.
And the world is screaming like, what the fuck, America, do something. Like we wouldn't tolerate this. You have to do something. And we do have to do something.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things we've talked about and we shouldn't downplay is that probably we are doing a lot and there is a lot going on that doesn't get picked up. Part of what, here, I'm not trying to blow smoke up your ass, but part of what your show does is it makes sure people know that these types of things are going on in various places, right? You're a collector of this information and pass it on so that people know this is happening. Otherwise, we think, oh, we're not doing anything. And it can be very discouraging.
And thank you for saying that. I mean, you've been so kind, but also, I think for Pat and me, it's also really so important to build this community online. Like, I think, especially for those of us who are very COVID conscious, some of the get-togethers are not, are difficult. And there is a lot of solitary, we're all sort of like social distancing. And so this is a way of reminding us what's ourselves what's important and how to focus on that radical love, which is like, again, the thing that we are all fighting for, right? Like that's what we want to center, because it's hard. Otherwise we just descend into depression and sadness all the time.
You got to get out and, we have to encourage each other to do stuff face to face as well, where you can. Go for walks, get out in nature, be around plants and animals, and yes, puppets. I'm here for the puppet. I'm sorry. Cats, dogs, goats.
Yeah,
for
nature.
Sure.
Like, I mean, yes, absolutely.
This is what sustains us and keeps us going.
Yes.
Decompose the empire. There we go. Gardening, like everybody, where if you have a plot of land, or like at the university I was at, there was actually collective plots of land. People could, farm over the summer semester and share. There's a green common. I know a couple of Tibetan friends of mine work on in Toronto, and it's a green common growing area. And it's amazing to watch, like, the Afghan family and the Syrian family and the Tibetan family, all have plots next to each other, talking about what they're growing and why, and sharing, knowledge. This is sort of stuff I think is fantastic.
I love it too. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm seeing more of these kind of things. I mean, community gardening has been a big thing, and some cities are even against it for this reason. Like, why would you be against community gardening?
Because they don't want us to have any power.
But I'm seeing more of that kind of space, like open creative spaces where there's material for people to use to create things. Somebody had, did we cover it? I think we might have, where there was a t-shirt thing. If you're a protester, you can come here and design your t-shirts and like.
We cheers them. That was in Minneapolis. Yep.
Yeah. So there's more of that happening.
Like silk screening operation where you can make your own shirts, your own protest banners, this sort of stuff.
Exactly.
It's I've been to those and made. It's a gas to spend an evening making shirts and hanging out with folks.
Yeah, and feeling creative and community and all of that. Yeah, absolutely.
I want to divert just quickly back to one thing I wanted to say at the start, which is I sometimes say when I'm teaching meditation to folks, don't be discouraged. The Buddha had it way easier than you do. Like, this is actually a really difficult world to, be happy and calm and to do these kinds of things. And it's very, very, and it's extremely unusual and rare to have a civilization like this. There's no precedent for this. Right. There's a great line in, one of my meditation teachers told me he reads the book, The Real Work by Gary Snyder every year. It's a collection of conversations. It's really inspiring. And in it, Snyder says, like, you can't talk about comparing this world we're in now to anything else. There's nothing like this amount of fossil fuels being burned up this quickly, in such a short time, creating such a kind of energy difference among certain groups of people. But when I've been really inspired, less so by Marx and that kind of thing, and even less so than like Proudhon, Kropotkin and the anarchists, and more so by Karl Polanyi, who wrote a book called The Great Transformation during World War II, and so it disappeared. Nobody paid attention to it. But he said there are really three fictions that make this world so different than anything before. This is what I say when I give the workshops in the Arctic, and they ask me, why are white people so weird? And I say, look, there's this first fiction is currency, that you can take value and represent it through a bunch of colored paper. Right. This is like never existed across an entire civilization before, the use of currency instead of actual value relationships between people. Secondly is the fiction of labor, that you can actually somehow, renting people is better than owning people. When we used to own people through slavery, you had to pay to house them and feed them. Now they feed and house themselves and we just rent them. And we rent out ourselves, and we say on the front of the newspaper, if we have 100% rental, the society's going well. This is like what we want, is 100% human rental. This has never happened before, where humans rented themselves to others. This is completely unheard of. And the other one is land as something that's owned by members of one species, that you can actually cut pieces of land up and claim ownership. There's no civilization before that ever did this across all the land, its geography. This has never happened. And this is really new civilization. So there's a book by Gabriel Kalko called Main Currents in Modern American History. I think it's 67 or somewhere around there. Great book. And in it, he goes through and looks at the people landing at the island off of New York and the immigrant statistics. And he calculated that 50 million people, because of the enclosure of the commons and these three fictions, which changed everything in Europe, and basically uprooted these people where they didn't have access to the land anymore and they had to rent themselves out for currency. 55 million people left Europe between 1820 and 1811 and 1920. So basically 110 years. Now, if 55 million zebras move from one continent to another, we would expect major disruptions, or 55 million camels. If we have 55 million of one species move basically from Europe to the Americas, Australia, and the bottom of Africa, and look what they've done. This is a new thing, and it's not old. When people say, oh, we've been here since the 1600s. No, you haven't. No, most people's provenance going back doesn't go back longer than this period, from 1810 to 1920, 30. That's where it all happened. So we're super young. We're a juvenile delinquent civilization. I mean, just completely bonkers. And so, you know, we have to harken back to mature groups that have been here and survived us. They've survived us. They haven't been wiped out by us. And and find some joy now and again.
Find some joy.
Amen. I just want to add on that. That same logic sort of applies to me when people are like, are you a communist? Are you a socialist? I'm like, look, I don't know what I am, but I know we're going to change this system here. Capitalism is not it.
Right.
Where that goes with us, like, yes, read all your Marx, read all your Lenin. There are lessons there.
I'm a cheeseburger.
But like, that isn't, that's, we haven't had the specific solution that worked yet. So, you know, don't be so dogmatic about it is how I look at it.
Yeah.
And look how a society can spring up at an encampment in 24 hours, or they can cover all the basics of, like, essentially, you know, feeding, housing, sheltering, medical care, and all in a way that's conscientious and kind, but also smart. So.
Yeah. Well, I think that's the thing is I think a lot of people have this idea that, oh, Buddhists are just peaceful, just accept things, life is pain. And you give, you know, you make that, you show how inaccurate that is or can be, and also to have strategic plans that are nonviolent, but doable, feel doable. And that is that it feels like there's a sense of purpose that comes along with also trying to find some zen in your life, some balance. Because you can't have balance if you feel like, I don't think anybody can have balance if they feel like everything's out of control and there's nothing I can do at all.
Most important thing, I went to see Ivan Illich. Some of you might have known a book he wrote called Deschooling Society. Went to see him at a Christian school in Berea, Kentucky back in 2000. And there was a Black woman in the front row who got up and said, we get depressed. Sometimes we have despair. How do we keep going? And Ivan was not one to use a microphone, and he was not one to give quick answers. We had a huge room full of people, and he said, everybody come close. And we all moved up, and then he motioned to his best friend Lee Hoynicki, and Lee came and stood next to him. He put his arm around Lee, and he said to the woman, friendship. One word, friendship. So we need friends. We're not going to get through this without friends. So, you know, this is critical, is where we find friends and people we can laugh with.
Yeah.
And people we can, I hate to say it, we can be politically incorrect with and goof around.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, and they're gonna love us no matter what. Yeah.
Let me know if you want in our politically incorrect game night. Maybe not. That could be too much, but yeah, absolutely.
Derek, Buddha activist, thank you so much for sharing your time, your wealth of knowledge, your kind spirit, and some really good ideas for how to put some hiccups in the system. I think that all of it feels like it's a nice way to imagine moving forward.
Thanks for having me, and I'll be here Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. I don't always get into the chat. I can't keep up with these young people. But
I have a feeling more of us are around your age than you're admitting. Yes. Thank you so much.
Cheers. Cheers. Thanks for all you do, you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. Take care.
Take care.
That is amazing. And also because, we talk about violent revolution all the time, and there is something that's so appealing about the Luigi theory, but the hiccups are something, not everybody can do that, can be a Luigi, obviously, for many different reasons. And as a lot of people who are doing nonviolent actions will talk about, the state is always going to be better at violence than we are. So at some point we are outmatched, which is why this sort of asymmetric activism is so powerful. The more people understand how we can get to those choke points and how accessible they are. So.
Yeah, and it's not illegal yet to share the choke points, as far as I know. Yes, so get them out there.
Get all this information. So just so everybody knows, we do have, let's see, I know we have the BuddhistAgainstGenocide.org, and then all of Derek's links in his link tree. I'm so bad because, as an actress, I've never done link tree, and I know that's what adults do. But anyway, link tree and LinkedIn, that's what I was thinking. But anyway, link tree, I should have that. But all of his different things, that is in the description. And there were a couple more that he sent us that I will make sure to add, and I will ask him if it's okay if we share that presentation or some of the slides, also a link to that, so that everybody can kind of re-access some of this information, because there is a lot in there that I think it'd be great to share with as many people as possible who are feeling sort of powerless and sad right now. All right.
Amen. Wonderful. Appreciate him being here so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cheers. All right. Let's move on to our cheers. Our cheers. Talking about joy in activism, we are presenting this activist couple who've been doing working together for 20 years.
There were definitely, incredibly intense moments. I mean, we did actually stand in front of tanks and get shot at, and times where we were assaulted by Israeli soldiers.
Stop! Stop! You're shooting at kids.
We met while we were both working over in Palestine, and then in the course of our activism, we sort of developed a romantic interest and developed our relationship after that. I remember we went to meet with Edward Said. The first thing he wanted to know was, how did we meet? Because he imagined us meeting in the trenches. So I guess our story does kind of trigger that idea in folks. But it was also, I think, we separated out to a large extent our activism from our personal lives, if that's possible.
There was a lot of local interest in our wedding because they like to project it as we're uniting across divides, because he's from a Jewish family and I'm from a Palestinian family. When our message to them was it's not religious, it's not cultural, it's not anything like that. We're all humans, and what Israel is doing is inhumane and illegal. And so a local photographer went with me to a wedding shop. The gown Huwaida Araf tried on Saturday emphasized her tiny waist. I had been on a hunger strike in an Israeli prison. Adam was thinking I wouldn't make it to the wedding and probably stand him up at the altar, because Israel was trying to have me sign for my deportation. And I said, you can't deport me, I'm a citizen. Definitely did not want them to have any way to block me from coming back. And so I refused, and if that meant that I would have to miss our wedding to refuse and be on a hunger strike, then I was gonna do that. We demand that you stand down. You are responsible for the well-being of every civilian on board this vessel.
I think what I'm most impressed with is that I think she personally feels more powerful than any soldier, tank, anything that they can throw at her. That this kind of determination, this kind of unwillingness to yield demonstrates how powerful is her belief that her position is right and moral and correct.
I try to do what I can, and if the mission kind of needs me or I need to be on it, I will.
I just love that. And, you know, thinking about I think there are more than just the two who are the most known from the flotilla who have been kidnapped by the Israelis and tortured. And now they're, you know, they just were found out again, or found out that they were just told by the judge that they have to be detained till Sunday or Monday, and then there'll be another, you know, all this stuff. And I know that Tiago has a baby daughter, and his mother just died, and he wasn't able to go see her. And I think there's, you know, a part of people that maybe look and think, like, how do you leave your family to do something like this? But I think you can't be the parent that you want to if you don't do the things that you have passion for to make the world right, you know? So I love the way that was shown, this couple.
Right. And I think there's also something about, you know, to those who much responsibility is given, much is required kind of thing. Like, I mean, nobody could fault any of them for dropping out and raising their family and not being involved. They've done enough.
Right.
But like, this is your passion. This is your life. You want to see, you want the future for your kid to be better. So
yes. Yeah.
So I think it's amazing. Me and who? Where are we going?
Yeah. Ladies.
Right? No, ladies. Hello.
And also the thing, you know, especially, I know we're going to get to it a little bit, but about the Met Gala stuff, you know, where she says, oh, everybody was saying, look how tiny her waist is. She was on hunger strike.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
that's crazy.
Yeah. All right. From the sublime to the ridiculous. Don't worry, I already sized it, but they have put that dumb flippin' commercial on there. So give me a second.
No.
I gotta get rid of that.
And we are stuck with the Coke ad, apparently.
Every time, yeah. If it's up too long. Unbelievable.
Well, every time it comes up, we're gonna say, don't buy Coca-Cola. How's that?
Yeah.
Don't buy Coca-Cola.
BDS the Coca-Cola for sure. All right. I definitely need more wine, no matter what. Oh my God, look at how I manifested that. Look at that. Look at it. Look at it. Okay. 1 second. Wonk. Wait, sorry. It's taking so long. Okay. Oh, I just spilled everywhere. Uh-oh. Dang it. Listen, I spilled everywhere. Oh my God, I'm out of sorts. Okay, wait.
More alcohol.
That's more alcohol is all right, Pat, just choose something. It's getting ridiculous. You know, we need to make the segments smaller for the
Oh, so the drink is less often. We can
probably
shrink that down.
I'll take care of it.
In honor of Derek, who wanted the pups, let's go with some red pandas.
Okay. Oh my God, they're so cute. It was like looking in a mirror doing those pull-ups there.
RFK Jr., I was just like, let's have a pull-up off.
I would always lose. I look much like that panda. That is so cute. You know what? Like the guy holding it by its tail made me nervous though. Is that all right? Like,
I'm sure it's all right.
yeah. All right.
Come on. This is, well, not that zoo people are treating the animals great, but yes, I think it was a zoo of some sort.
All right. Oh my God. All right. Well, we had the lovely first hour with Derek, Buddha activist. Also, you know, this sweatshirt, I just love, like, colonial outcast, positive vibes only, and she's armed. I don't know. I just love all of it.
The arms.
Yeah.
And I love the contrast between, okay, the Buddhist guy is telling us where the arms are being delivered.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
yeah.
Hey,
that's
come on.
Important stuff. We're not, yeah, I love all of it. All right. But then we have this Yahoo who, I mean, honestly, does anybody, is there any adult in the room anywhere that this is what he puts up? He has no idea that in Uno, you want to have no cards.
Yeah. In Uno, the more cards you have, you lose, right? You want to run out of cards first. And we have all the cards. Brilliant. And the wild thing is I was watching CNN earlier, and they did a whole segment on Iranian propaganda. So they were like, the Lego ads are great. And they're like, hey, they're littered with anti-Semitic tropes. You know, you even see some politicians sharing them. And then they go to Hassan Piker and why nobody should be associated with him. And then that pivots to the next segment, which is this bipartisan bill against Hassan Piker, essentially. And they're going to come after journalists. And then Jake Tapper's like, well, you're just going after Hassan Piker, not the politicians sharing it. So he's saying these two bipartisan people aren't going after free speech enough. Like, but anyway, back to this. They point out that like this is our attempt to counter Iranian propaganda. And your leadoff thing is I've got all the cards, which means I lost.
The other thing, I mean, it's so ridiculous. And of course, right away, this was the response from Iran. Yes, but we have, I mean, I'm going to correct their grammar. We have fewer cards. We have less cards. But, like right away, they know our game better. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not even our game. I don't know who invented it. But like, it's so easy to beat him if it comes to talking about anything that takes knowledge or sophistication or just a child's game. You beat him.
You do, and the fact that you can't even get like a couple good strategists to counter some of this stuff better than that, like that speaks volumes to me that you can't.
That was CNN.
Hire the guy that can do this better.
Oh, you mean that like for our
Trump,
White House?
Trump.
Like,
yeah, our American propaganda.
Yeah,
this is the group you found is leading with I'm losing.
You know what they put out last week? I mean, I was tempted to show it just because it's so absurd. We could have just like drunk ourselves silly. It was a full hour on a loop of him just saying, I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning.
Yeah, that was crazy.
In the White House, an hour. It was it wasn't like, different times that he said, I'm winning. It was the one time. I mean, he said it many times, but they just did the one segment because they're so lazy. They can't even like look, they can't comb through hours of footage of him. And then they just kept for an hour. It was an hour long.
It's the kind of thing, if anyone you knew in real life did, you would say, oh my God, they need to get reported. They're a harm to themselves. What is wrong with this person? And it's coming from the official White House.
And that's their propaganda team. It's so embarrassing. It's just also embarrassing. And, it's interesting to me that Jake Tapper is still going to have that show where he says those things. We're just going to have to bebop a lot because this to me was fascinating that this was even allowed on CNN. It's Abby Phillip talking about there is a group of Democrats who now are trying to push Congress to officially recognize the fact that Israel has nuclear weapons. And if they do not, once that is officially recognized, if they do not sign on to the treaty that every country with nuclear weapons has, then the US would no longer be permitted legally to give them arms. Now, of course, We weren't permitted to give them arms when they were blockading aid. You know, I mean, they've been doing a genocide, war crimes. So like nothing will stop us. But there is this movement amongst some Democrats, like 30 of them, I think, who are pushing for this. Okay. The least kept secret in the world. So this was the segment on CNN, which I'm shocked that Abby Phillip was running, and Van Jones, who I used to think was one of us 20 years ago.
He's such a shitbag these days.
I mean,
good Lord.
They're either paying him something or they have some crazy incriminating information on him. But this is insane.
So here are some of the questions that Joaquin Castro is posing on this issue. Maybe this might answer some of your questions. What nuclear weapons capability does Israel have? Has the administration received any assurances from Israel that nuclear weapons will not be used? Has Israel communicated to the United States any nuclear doctrine, any red lines or thresholds for nuclear use in the context of the current conflict with Iran? Has the administration assessed what circumstances could lead Israel to consider nuclear use? What contingency planning has the administration conducted for such a scenario? I mean, we do. Look.
Is there? I'm asking an honest question. Why? I mean, has there been some rumor that says that Israel is going to nuke Iran?
Here's the thing. I guess the question is again, now there's been a change of status quo. Mm-hmm. There's a war between the United States, Israel, and Iran that is going on right now in the Middle East. And under those circumstances, that is actually different from what we've been experiencing for the last, 40, 50 years. And so under those circumstances, there's only one power in the Middle East that has a nuke, and it's Israel. And so the question is, what are the circumstances? What are the boundaries? Are there any boundaries? They don't acknowledge that they have them. People know that they do, but are there any boundaries? And I think that seems like a fair question to ask.
I'm assuming that they're in executive session.
Why? Clearly, nothing is beyond them. They have no humanity. They are slaughtering people, doing a genocide. Why? And people are concerned, actually, that Israel is going to use nuclear weapons on Iran.
Look, this is the first bill that I think has ever been sponsored out of actual fear of nukes being used. This is the first time, because these same people sponsoring the bill are all for funding Israel, but they're finally like, you know what? Trump isn't the stopgate on crazy shit that Israel wants to do. That like it's really getting dangerous with this fucking idiot in charge. Not like we're going to fund them. We'll give them the money. We'll buy their bombs. We'll pay for their health care. We'll do all that shit. But like they're going to use a nuke if we keep this up, and they're worried about it.
I mean, here's what's also so crazy is Jonathan Pollard, U.S. citizen who helped Israel get nukes, was then jailed. I think, was then jailed. We showed a video of him just in the past several months saying, and I think it was about Iran when we did our 12-day, operation, we're super cool, whatever, in last July, saying that we better get back in there or we have information and we have information on your leaders like Epstein files. And also we have nukes. We have unconventional weapons that we could use threatening us. And that's who Mike Huckabee met with, like a treasonous U.S. citizen who spied on the U.S. for Israel, served some time here, was allowed to leave to go to Israel. Now I think he's running for some, either leadership role, possibly even prime minister. But he's the one who got them nukes, helped get them nukes, and has threatened to use them. And of course, I mean, listen, look at what Derek Buddha activist showed us that we talked about, that the number of 2,000-pound bombs that were dropped on Gaza in the first 5 weeks were equal to like 2 hydrogen bombs or something. So of course they would use them. They don't care about ecological disaster. They don't care about anything.
No, of course not. And if you if you saw this as some ethical war that Israel launched on Palestine or Hamas or whatever you want to call it, you could not give them the 200-pound bombs. You could give them the alleged fucking smart moral weapons to choose that don't kill a whole fucking hospital.
Precision ones. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, that like Van Jones has a contract that they need to release him right away. Like, done. It's so stupid. What do you say? Why? He can't even come up with anything. He has no justification for it. Just like, well, why would you say that? Next, he's going to be like, that's really anti-Semitic.
No, Van Jones is Cory Booker as a pundit now. Like, he is really the guy selling himself as like, I'm the progressivist on the stage at all times. And that's his role, is like, oh, if you're the progressive and you're like, if you're the questioning why these Democrats would do that, why now?
Yeah.
Well, then it shouldn't be an issue. It's like having a Bernie supporter up there, and the Bernie guy is like, hey, we don't care.
It's not a genocide.
Yeah. What is this? You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Useful idiot is my point.
He's a useful idiot, but he's there to convince people who want to believe themselves to be progressive that we don't need to worry about Israel using nuclear weapons. And I think
exactly the progressive on stage is not worried about it.
Yeah. So should all be fine. And meanwhile, you've got this guy, Ben Gvir. This is his social media post. I mean, not a nuclear weapon, but still.
I know I should sleep, but the voices in my head go. I know I should sleep, but the voices in my head go.
That's his post. Just a death cult. Like his birthday cake. Like
you got the cake for his birthday with the noose on it. Like,
I mean, they're sick. Truly sick. I actually thought this was really interesting. There's an interview. I can't remember who did this interview. I think we'll see it there. And a woman, it's the meme, right? Like the woman, she's Israeli. She speaks Hebrew, but she also speaks English. She answers the question first in Hebrew, which makes it very clear that she is a deranged genocidal maniac. And then she says, well, I can answer it in English also. And she amends some of her choice of words so that she doesn't sound like she is a genocidal maniac. I mean, she still does, but she's aware.
Yeah. She knows.
Yeah.
היית תומכת בתוכנית מסודרת לשלוח את כל העזתים למדינה שלישית שלעולם לא יחזרו?
אם זה תלוי בי, לא רק שולחת אותם, בדרך מוודא שיש מחנות ריכוז שגם ישרפו אותם. If you want me to answer this in English, I would be more than happy to answer it.
Go for it.
The people from Gaza came over and destroyed us all on October 7th. Not only the people that they hurt physically, they hurt everybody's heart, all the Jews all over the world. And for this, I would send them as far as possible, one-way ticket, never come back. Thank you so much.
We would gas them in concentration camps, was her honest answer.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, no, these people do not get.
And the crazy thing is, like, this is just a citizen on the street, right? So you can discount that, but we have this from all the leaders of Israel directly.
Oh, yeah.
Like, our news media doesn't have to question what's the goal of this war, what's the plan.
Yeah.
If they cared and actually represented us at all, you would just say, you would show what he says and then say, all of you American politicians need to grill him on this and clarify this position, because that's not okay, right?
I mean, on October 8th of 2023, Yoav Gallant said, collective punishment, no electricity, no water, no food, complete siege.
Yeah, war crime, day one.
War crime.
Announcement.
Yeah, and then anyway, like I know I say this every show, but like, why are we talking about precision targeting weapons when we see what they've done to Gaza, what they're now doing to Lebanon, what they're threatening, and our president, of course, is fine with it, and Hegseth, of bombing them back to the Stone Ages and destroying their civilization? Like, these people they should not be anywhere near power. Yeah. And yet, like, This is who they all are. The videos coming out of Gaza now, where, you know, all of their sanitation facilities have been bombed, their water pipes, everything, desalination bombed. They don't have any sanitation department or ability to get rid of garbage or rotting corpses, and they're living in tents. People are being bitten by rats. There are rats. There are cockroaches, bugs. There are all sorts of vermin. Babies have teeth marks of rat bites on their cheeks. And so there's
absolutely no discussion of this on mainstream media because they're now onto Iran, obviously.
Yeah. And like, oh, the regime is in disarray. Nothing about what's happening still in Gaza. Why is the blockade still being allowed? And by the way, you know, Trump's Board of Peace has said that they will not hold, big shocker, Israel to the truce terms if Hamas doesn't okay disarmament offer. In a letter obtained by Times of Israel, US-led body indicates Israel not adhering to key parts of ceasefire's first phase, but says it won't have to if Hamas doesn't accept decommissioning framework, like a forced surrender.
It's not happening. We're not. Are we getting into Israel? Iran much?
We're kind of bebopping, but go ahead, say whatever you want to do. Yeah.
Well, no. I just want to express my views on that, but let's just save it. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Go on.
All right. So Trump has been just bloviating, right? About, we've got this all under control. We don't want them having a nuke. Their people in power are completely in disarray. We decapitated them. They don't have an army. They don't have a navy. They don't have military. And then, so he did a blockade of their blockade, which was Operation Freedom, where he was going to, where they said that the U.S. military was going to escort all of these ships that are just stuck out there.
Which, we've got a red, white, and blue dome over it all, according to Hegseth.
Let's go. Project Freedom.
Let's see it.
Project Freedom is now on pause based on the request of Pakistan and other countries, the tremendous military success that we've had during the campaign against the country of Iran, and additionally, the fact that great progress is has been made toward a complete and final agreement with representatives of Iran. We have mutually agreed that while the blockade will remain in full force and effect, Project Freedom, the movement of ships through the Strait of Hormuz, will be paused for a short period of time to see whether or not the agreement can be finalized and signed. President Donald J. Trump. So basically, Iran has the cards.
Hey, all that threatening shit we put out there, we're going to put it all on pause because we're so close to a deal because Iran wants a deal and they're eager for a deal.
Yeah, they're begging us.
They're lying to us. Our media is lying to us. Everybody is lying to us. The U.S. is losing this conflict every day. The whole thing with President Trump, it's all about just pretending we're doing okay. So the stock market does good for a week or 3 days, and they all get rich off of their moves in the stock market, and then it falls apart again. But they get rich off of it falling apart because they knew as soon as Trump said something, it would cause it to fall apart.
Is it time for a little Lego? Yeah. So it's very clear that there's insider trading happening. And you have to wonder a little bit if part of the reason that, this keeps just being, I think Trump doesn't know how to get out of it, because here's the truth. I actually think he might be scared that Israel's going to use nukes. I really don't know what's happening, because he can't get out of this and save face. Everybody knows this is a disaster. We lost, right? But if he leaves, and even if he says, which I think a lot of us thought Trump was one of the few people that might be able to pull it off, that even after this disastrous loss, he could just be like, we won, we're out, we got it, let's go. and lie about something and move away, which is what I thought was going to happen a few weeks ago. But instead, he keeps doing this thing where he announces there's going to be a deal, we're talking, and then these crazy bets are made. Somebody makes almost $1 billion, and then, right before the market closes or whatever, and then the next announcement happens, right?
That's what I'm saying. These guys are so unaffected by anything they do.
Yeah.
That isn't a reason to change course like it typically would. Now, if Trump was in his first term, maybe you'd see some adjustments because he wants to get reelected or something.
Right.
But he doesn't give a fuck about the Republican Party long term.
Right.
He doesn't give a shit about Israel. He doesn't give a shit about America. None of it. Right. But I have noticed in the past few days, he's dropped all talk of the strait. They have taken that out of terms of negotiation. And this is where I still come back to what I think is going to happen is that Iran is going to give up the nukes and get the strait. I think that's I think that's still the way out for Trump, because then he can go back to pretending it was all about the nukes, period, and the story, full stop, even though Iran is now getting rich off the strait and has more or less full control of the strait.
So it seems as though they are putting out that they're willing to talk about the enrichment of uranium. They still want to be able to do it for their civilian projects, right? Because they have every right to do that. I just don't
have oversight on that. This is
exactly. Russia will have oversight, but that's what was already in the JCPOA.
I know, but that's where I've been saying the whole time, and everybody was saying, "No, you're crazy, Pat. I disagree with you on this."
I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think they might say it. I don't think they're going to. You really think that after all this they will? I don't. But I mean, who knows? Like, we wouldn't even know, right? It would be a well-kept secret, like Israel's nuclear weapons.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they're going to pursue them, maybe they, whatever. But we're going to return to where we were before. But they have the strait now. That's the bottom line. And Trump is going to hit a point where he's eager for that deal because there's so much pressure on him from Republicans, because none of them are going to get reelected.
Right.
He keeps this up.
Right.
And he's going to have he's made enough money betting on his fucking Kalshi stocks on, is Trump going to say the word, cheeseball in this next speech. So at some point they'll all be so rich, and there's too much pressure from the rest of the Republican Party on him.
Right.
And the only way he can get out is to just give them the strait and take a return to the old nuclear agreement, but he'll frame it as a new agreement that goes farther or something.
It's just, it is so upsetting, because if we're lucky, we'll go back to what it was February 27th and the deal that was on the table then, but plus they'll have the strait, as you said. And how many tens of thousands of people have been slaughtered, or neighborhoods destroyed, ancient, architecture and parts of civilization. I mean, for what? Just so his pals could make a few $1 billion. It's just, it's so grotesque. It's just so grotesque. All right. This is Iran Lego insider trading.
20 minutes. 7,990 lots. $760 million. Someone knew something. Who's on the phone, Dunny? Who's on the phone? 20 minutes before the tweet, the shorts would play. 799 lots, that's the winning pace. 750 million betting on the down. Someone had the news before it hit the town. Troll, insider trading? Nah, just a lucky guess. Brent crude was falling 11% down. Portfolios pumping in the golden crown. Who called the play? Who made the call? Same pattern every time. The writing's on the wall. 20 minutes before before the tweet, the shorts were placed. $7.99, that's the winning taste. Payback, Florida says, give the money back. Soldiers starving in the sand, that's the real attack. March 23, 500 million short. 50 minutes later, Trump changed the sport. April 7, 950 more. Another short position walking through the door. Coincidence 3 times, come on man. Now Flores candidates screaming on the floor. Give our money back, every single law. 385 million sent across the sea. War criminal, baby, that's not chivalry. 20 minutes before the tweet, the shorts were placed. $7.99, that's the winning taste. Payback, Florida says, give the money back. Soldiers starving in the sand, that's the real attack. Independent, drop the truth, troops are going hungry. Food packages from families stuck and blowing hungry. Mail stopped to the zone, boxes in the line. Soldiers asking Congress, why are we in this crime? They sent care packages, but the packages never arrived. Morale hitting bottom in the desert heat. Eating rations weekly, admitting defeat. While the shorts are making millions on the crude. Tell me who's the enemy, tell me who's the rule. Same account, same timing, every single time. Trump tweets the news, the shorts commit the crime. Crypto rover coded patterns plain to see. Third time's the charm, who's paying the fee? Someone's getting a Christmas card from Mar-a-Lago. 760 million reasons to question the game. When the man who starts the war gets the winning frame. Florid wants payback, baby, give the cooling. But the shorts already cashed up, nothing left to join. 20 minutes, train time. Same pattern, the same pattern. $7.99, 760 million. 20 minutes before the tweet, the shorts were placed. $7.99, that's the winning taste. Payback, Florida says, give the money back. Soldiers starving in the sand, that's the real attack. 20 minutes, that's all it takes. 760 million reasons to investigate. But the Senate won't ask, the seat won't look, because the man who signed the check wrote the book. Someone knew something! Someone always knows! Baby, where's my cut?
Okay, some of the, it's funny because they need somebody to do their chyrons with the closed captioning. A couple of their things, and you listen to it, and you're like, wait, why are it's not the? They said something
Not
about
what they said.
Yeah, Senate. I think they meant Senate. They said something else. I don't understand the whole Florida wants its money back, like it was taken from Florida. I don't like. Is that a Mar-a-Lago thing? But I don't think so, because that feels like it is with the soldiers, which I think they do they're so smart, the way they always tie something into like our soldiers and how they're being mistreated, how our working class is being mistreated. Like they're really good at that.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that one, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah. And
they're great. Look, why isn't our media talking about this story? Right? Like, why aren't Democrats bringing it up as issue number one? Because they can't really be against the war and the money and the bomb makers and the military industrial complex. They have to be for it, or they'd bring this up. It's like the easiest layup in the world that the corrupt scumbag, we've called the corrupt scumbag for 15 years now.
Yep.
Like, he's grifting off this. It's easy.
Well, here's part of the problem is they all were for the slaughter of Palestinians and the war on Gaza, because October 7th, right? And Barack Ravid, I think he was Israeli. I don't know if now he's American or if he's got dual citizenship, whatever, but like served in the IDF, was part of that whole 8200. Like, he now works for Axios. He is the one who gets all the information from both the White House, whether it was the Biden regime or the Trump regime. He won, I don't know if he won a Pulitzer, but he won like awards for his great journalism, when all he is telling, he's a stenographer for the State Department and for Israel. Right. So he's the one who is, always doing Biden's so frustrated with Bibi and buying him time as we kept sending
behind
weapons.
the scenes. He swore at him.
Yeah. And everybody loved Barak Ravid. He's such a great journalist. We love journalists, not the 300 that have been targeted and killed by, or over 300 now by Israel. But this journalist is real. We love press freedom, blah, blah. So here is, this is from Axios, okay? Stock futures surged and oil prices fell in response to this exclusive reporting by Axios Middle East expert Barak Ravid. The White House believes it's close to an agreement with Iran on a one-page memorandum of understanding, blah, blah, blah. The U.S. expects Iranian response on several key points. So everybody should be feeling good. So, like, they are taking credit for the insider trading. It's insane.
I mean, CNN literally partnered with Kalshi now.
It's all just
so whether money. It's the difference is now we're past stocks. So, like, you know, we got rules about stocks on very little though with our politicians.
Yeah.
But now we've got Kalshi, so that's unregulated, you know, gray zone. So they're all getting rich off all of this stuff that's works against what we want.
I mean, it is just so in your face. They are so brazen about their corruption. And yeah, the media does not call anything out. You know, yesterday, Rubio was sitting there saying that the US holds all the cards. We want a deal. We really, you know, we have nothing against the Iranian people, but the mullahs, they're so crazy. You know, meanwhile, we've got that one lady, Paula White or whatever, speaking in tongues, and everybody, you know, Pete Hegseth with tattoos, his Christian nationalist tattoos, and Israel talking about how this is Amalek and, you know, good thing we started it on Purim. Yeah. I mean, like, and so
every religious leader that they're all connected to is either a pedophile or a fucking proven grifter.
Yeah.
I mean,
so like, it is shocking to me that anything real gets on cable news. Last week, and I don't know if we showed the video, but on CNN, they showed how U.S. military bases all over the Middle East have been basically just obliterated by Iran. And, you know, the week before that, or 2 weeks before, they were like, I mean, even they had, you know, Jon Stewart out there talking about like, Iran just fucking, you know, bombing all their neighbors, those crazy Iranians, right? But like now they're explaining a little bit why that's happening. And so there's that. The idea that Axios will just flat out say, like, because of Barak Ravid's reporting, the market went up. Thanks for your help there. Speaking truth to power. who you're helping. And now they are talking about how Iran destroyed U.S. radar systems across the Gulf countries at the military bases.
Yeah, it's like this almost this greater good argument the media is making for why they're not reporting on anything honestly. Like, well, our economy is so tied to AI, we can't wreck AI, you know, like it's boy, I don't know. I've been noticing that a little bit.
Axios especially, they're horrible about it. You know, I get their daily like bulletin things, and it's all sponsored by ChatGPT, OpenAI, whatever. And then they always have several of their different bullets are why it's so important that we have to incorporate AI into our lives, you know, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They are. I'm not going to say it out loud because I was banned for saying it for a while, but yes, they are. And yeah.
I got blocked from Twitter this week too.
Oh, you did? I didn't know that.
Yeah. Where I was like, because Musk said his goal is $10 trillion. And I said something like, hey, if all billionaires shouldn't exist, the one who wants 10 trillion shouldn't exist first.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's vague talk. I mean, I didn't put his name on it.
Right,
like, you're allowed to. I
mean, in theory.
I get it. Like,
no, there's
I get it. But like, you know, because I linked to an article written about him that got doubly flagged, and that's why I got banned.
Right.
Like,
Of
if
course.
it wasn't him in the tweet, safe all day. But it's the first tweet I've ever had to delete in my entire lifetime on Twitter.
That's crazy. And I definitely, I want to get back to this because there is some suspicion that, I mean, that's what I thought. Because Iran said that they did not bomb the UAE. And they've taken credit for other things. So there's some suspicion that possibly it's Saudi Arabia. But when Iran first said that they didn't take responsibility for it, I thought also that it was Israel. Because Israel does not want any, like, they don't care. They don't need anything good for the U.S. They're very Israel first.
And also, I don't see it in Iran's interest to be disingenuous about it. They want what they do. They want to be an announced, this is the cause of your action.
Right. Exactly.
And so to make a choice, if they're saying, no, it's not us, I don't see that as being in their interests.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And then I did just want to, because when you said that you got banned for saying that you weren't able to post your comment, or
no, it said your account is suspended. You violated a rule. Delete this rule. Well, no, I mean, as soon as I deleted the tweet, I'm back.
Oh, well, like that didn't happen for me with my guillotine.
No, people mentioned in the comments that this is a change to Twitter, that they brought that back to where if you're violating.
Right. Got it.
Whatever.
So last show on Sunday, we put up, the normal thing that we always say at the end, solidarity forever, keep punching up. And we do the fire, fist, heart, watermelon, and a Palestinian flag. We added an Iranian flag. And I tried to post it 3 different times. It was rejected 3 different times. And then when I erased the Iranian flag, they let us put up our normal one.
Try changing it a bit.
Just
change it a bit. Oh, you know what? This one seems to work without the Iranian flag. We're good.
I mean, that's pretty crazy, right? Yeah. And so even the Washington Post is doing this big deep dive. And again, I know those of us who don't go to corporate media for our news knew about this the first week of this war. But the fact that they're starting to report on it and how in trouble the whole world is because of what Trump and Israel's war has already done to the economy, even if we haven't felt it yet, we are in for a tsunami. Today, I think this was either today or last night, and on CNBC, talking about oil exports and how that's going to affect all of our flights. It's already there are already surcharges in Asia, and I think tens of thousands of flights have already been canceled there. But here's what he's talking about: the difference between what we had, what we used to have in our reserve, what we have now, the exports, and how that's going to affect the airline industry. We're about to become very small and isolated world, balkanized very quickly, I think.
Just in the last couple of weeks, we've seen 12,000 flights being cancelled. That's 2 million seats. That is just for
12,000.
May. Yes, okay, exactly. In terms of jet fuel exports on a global basis, we see about 2 million barrels a day being exported normally. Last month, we saw 1.3 million barrels a day. So it's not just the fact that you're not getting jet fuel out of the Middle East because they are the large exporters of the stuff, but it's the fact that Asia is not getting the crude that it needs to refine into the jet fuel. And so they're trying to meet their domestic needs, and they're struggling to meet the export needs as well. And so it is a series of dominoes that are falling here. And so jet is the first one to go. Asia is the first region, but it's going to spread across the globe, and it's also going to spread across the products as well. So, the national average here for gasoline is approaching $4.50 a gallon. Yep. As oil prices tick higher, $5, $10 higher, that's going to be reflected through into incremental increases at the pump.
Do you think we will, and I know you're not an airline analyst, but do you think that we will see more seat cancellations based on this shortage of jet fuel? I mean, will it get much worse the longer the strait is closed?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it really is. And it's going to go across the various different regions as well. So even when we look at the US, we're extremely well supplied because we refine 16, 17 million barrels a day here. But we are seeing jet fuel exports out of the US increasing. They are being pulled into Europe because Europe cannot get jet fuel from the Middle East. It's the same on the diesel side of things. We are seeing more diesel going into Africa, into Australia from the US because they are struggling to get it. In the same as kind of like naphtha blending components, you're seeing that pulled to Asia as well because they can't get it from the Middle East. And so while the US is well supplied here, it is also getting all of its barrels being pulled out. Record US crude exports, we're seeing it across the barrel.
Does that impact how well we are supplied in the United States if we are exporting what we have to help other countries who do not have?
It's just simply that they will pay up for these products because they can't get them from elsewhere. And so that just means that domestic prices in the US are going to be going higher here. Okay. So it's problematic across the board.
It's so weird how they're trying to frame this economy as not collapsing right now. Like it's like they all own stock in the media, I think. like they're because they're propping up the stock market, which is just hanging on a hinge of what the president says, which, like, thank God the president is coming to an agreement with Iran, and then it's not.
Right.
And they all know it. They all know that we are nowhere near a solution to fix the things that are going to stop our economy from fucking collapsing. And then they know AI is propping up our economy, which is bullshit. The job creations aren't there. The only increase in jobs that we had that propped up the latest stats at all was healthcare employees. But that's bloat, basically, in a system that is fucking awful.
Yep.
If you want to save money, you fix our healthcare system. That's going to help our economy a lot. But, you know, that's going to harm a lot of the donors to both parties. I don't know. I went off on a rant there.
But I mean, I agree with you, though. Like, it feels a lot like it feels like how they dealt with climate change, how they're dealing with COVID. Oh, hey, we have a new human-to-human virus, hantavirus, which we can talk about after. Maybe it's good that all the flights are going to get shut down for a little bit, but not the economic disaster, obviously. We should probably spin, but also I'm always worried that we're going to get booted. So we just wanted to thank our super chats. Jay became a YouTube member. I thought you had been for years, but welcome to the membership.
I think they expire and then people rejoin. And...
Yeah, okay. Hey, Citizen Medejo, far from home. I can't toast with you. Well, we'll cheers to you anyway.
You can toast with us. Come on.
Yes, absolutely. Pandas or Legos, though. Tough call. Yep. Thank you very much. And what if I would ask Explosive Media for a flotilla Lego. I know, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't already done one. I'm sure one's on.
Wait, I saw one on the flotilla.
You did?
Yeah, I think there is one.
Oh, okay. Well, cheers, you guys. Thank you so much for that.
And you're neglecting your husband.
I know. I see it now. Lila, I'm seeing it. Hi, honey. How are you? That is an old headshot. Is that what you always use? That's not what he always uses, is it? That's so funny. How are you? How's Alabama?
What's up, Josh? We have to drink some beers soon again.
Yeah, I know.
Real world beers.
In the real world this summer. You promised, Pat.
I'm coming. Let's
All right. I am calling my own audible here.
Well done. You cannot go wrong with spicy kittens. I love spicy kittens.
Let's see.
I wanted to grab you. Oh, okay.
You're very angry.
You're angry. Oh. I know. I'm sorry. Don't be scared. It's okay. He's hissing at me.
Hi.
food.
Not enough spicy.
Oh my God. Did you hear that? That's Lucky. Hi, honey.
Lucky.
Come here.
Ooh.
She's wagging. Come here.
Strike is still a spicy kitten to me about twice a week. She hisses at me and will just like seconds later be the chillest. Doge dog.
It's so funny. It's so like manic, right? So funny. But she can't hear the cat because when she made that moaning, I'm sure it's because it got dark and I forgot to turn on the lights. Lucky Strike. And also, yes, I just wanted to say that this is very sweet acting. No, I'm kidding. That's very nice. I shine when I talk to him. No, we miss him a lot. Lucky really misses him. But I am getting the benefit of Josh's absence because normally she is so obsessed with him. And now she's obsessed with me. So I will take it for the next few weeks while he's gone. Okay. So sort of finishing with Iran, although, this is also really interesting. So we've seen all the trolling from the Lego. We have a bunch more of that, we could just have like a whole Lego show. But this was new. This is from the Iranian embassy in Russia. A tale of two presidents. So heart surgeon, pedestrian, and our worldwide wrestler. I mean, just absolute embarrassment. Yeah.
It's
yeah.
I mean, on the embarrassment front, I don't think we pulled it, but like Trump meeting with all the kids this week, every time he meets with kids,
it's just we do. We have some of it. Yeah.
Okay. It's amazing to me that nobody, like his staff is so subservient to him that nobody can tell him to stop meeting with kids even because he's so bad with kids. He had those high school cheerleaders last week do a fucking dance for him.
Oh,
Did you guys see that?
No, I missed it. Oh,
high school cheerleader team did a whole dance together, like 14, 15, like whatever. It could be wholesome if you weren't known for being who you are or whatever. But like at Mar-a-Lago, these fucking little, it's creepy. But then his interaction with kids is amazing to me.
I mean, in his first regime, remember when he had the little kid at Christmas and he's like, now, do you all still believe in Santa Claus? It's like, good job, Gramps. That was good. Yeah, really good. In this isn't, we didn't pull the clip where
this is the ending the
right? Yeah. But like there were two other bits in this with all of these kids who I don't know why anybody, I mean, honestly, I don't have sorry to say, a ton of hope for the kids whose parents are Trump supporters and bring them to the Oval Office to speak with him. But one of the girls is she says that she plays soccer and volleyball, and he's basically like, you're too short to keep playing volleyball. You should just go to soccer. And then with the boy who's was he a wrestler or something? Or a weightlifter? I don't know. But he was like, now you wouldn't do that. You wouldn't compete against girls, right? Like basically like, you're not going to become a trans. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, what do you like? Just stop. Somebody's got to yank him off with a cane.
Look, all of that is clearly proof that, I mean, there's so much proof that he's sort of a pedo, right? Of some sort, but regardless of that, it's clearer proof that he's a narcissist because narcissists don't understand boundaries.
Yeah.
Right. Or borderline, that he's borderline, personality. But to not know the boundary, to not talk to a fucking little girl who's a soccer star and is telling her she's playing the wrong sport when you're like God in the world. You're like the president of the United States, excuse me. And you're going to tell a little girl she's in the wrong sport.
I mean,
it's just fucking baffling that he doesn't have a single handler to correct him on this shit. Is the thing that's more disturbing to me.
They just like giggle to the side and let it all happen. But again, I mean, you really have to wonder like what parents are okay with this, you know? Like why would they bring their kids to meet with him? But so here he is saying that we're this close to getting nuked by Iran. Sleep well, kids. Lots of love. It's like, you know, when Biden said, oh, if there were no Israel, Jews wouldn't be safe anywhere in the world. Like, you know, get these people away from any seat of power, please. Jesus.
We just broke every record. And now we're going to take a hit because we have to make a journey down to Iran to take the nuclear weapon. They would have had a nuclear weapon within 2 weeks. Remember, we sent that beautiful B-2 bomber in, and we blew up their nuclear potential. It was obliterated, for those that are not aware, and to a point where it would take them weeks to dig down, and we wouldn't let them dig down. We have our eyes on it all the time. But it was a very important thing. So we would have had an Iran with a nuclear weapon, and maybe we wouldn't all be here right now. I can tell you the Middle East would have been gone, Israel would have been gone, and they would have trained their sights on Europe first and then us, because they're sick people. These are sick people. And we're not going to let lunatics have a nuclear weapon. The power of a nuclear weapon is something I don't even want to talk about. It's not going to happen. And we have beaten them badly.
It's so fucked up. Like, it's just so fucked. I mean, when I was a kid, just from watching news stories on TV, I thought my black friend was going to die because the killer bees were coming. So I extrapolated that killer bees were like attracted to the color black, and I like cried forever about my best friend who was black and be killed by the killer bees. And we grew up in the 80s with nukes as a thing, and we were so worried about nuclear Russia, and it really did affect my psyche. Like, you know, and here are all these kids in front of the president, and he's like, yeah, we almost all died from the nuclear stuff.
And also to put that out about another country, be like, they hate, like to teach hate at that level to children. I don't know. There has to be some sort of regulation. Like, you know, it's so interesting. We were talking about it yesterday with the California Democratic governor debate. And, you know, the thing now is the sort of like gotcha question. And at every congressional hearing that they ask of any candidate who's up nominee for any head of department, do you think that Trump should be able to run for a third term? You know, like that's the big thing, right? I don't care at all. Like, honestly, I mean, I know it would have to be changed, but like in a democracy, my feeling is the people's voice should matter. And if our democracy were true and pure and we took money out of it and it were really just one person, one vote, and you could get an FDR for 4 consecutive terms, I'd be up for that. Like if somebody were truly popular, that's great. The reason we don't have the ability for a president to hold more than 2 terms is because Republicans had nothing, they had no counter message that was popular to FDR. So they implemented this very anti-democratic statute. But like that guy should not be there. There have to be regulations to make it like you can't even like all of the illegal things that he's done and profiting off of his office, like that should be enough.
I mean, all that just speaks to how capitalism has rotted our system to the core. You can't save it with a couple bills because too many of these guys are beholden to all the money. But yeah, look, in theory, I've never been really for term limits because of that same reason, right? You know, and if we had a term limit on Trump now, he couldn't get away with what he's doing now because he would be beholden to the next vote. Now I know that gets complicated and murky because we're in this constant election cycle and I hate it. But like he's doing all these things right now with no consequence to him at all.
Exactly.
And profiting from every step of every terrible thing he does. He can just bet money on it being bad for our country and get rich.
Yep. I mean, and because again, like you wouldn't worry about this if if you ran for removing money from politics, ending Citizens United, of course, Democrats won't do this. You look at his poll numbers, he sucks. President Trump's approval rating has fallen to 34%, lowest of this term due to the economy and war, according to the new Reuters Ipsos poll. 30. I mean, I don't know why. Like in the same thing, one says 34%, another says 37%. But whatever. That's not winning. Okay, he is basically underwater on every single issue: cost of living, inflation, situation with Iran, relations with U.S. allies. Like, don't worry about if he can run for a third term. How about you worry about abolish ICE so he can't put all those fuckers outside polling stations, get money out of politics, all the things we've all been begging Democrats to do, to stand for, run on an affirmative agenda. You don't need to worry about it. You could beat that guy every day of the week. But no, instead they're going to be like,
on earth. Easiest thing on earth. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I mean, I agree. I think it's insane to me.
And the other thing, watching the California Democratic debates, which we're not going to get into much because who gives a fuck. But the gotcha question is, and this is around the whole country for all Republicans running. Did Trump win the 2024 election?
That's right. Sorry, that was the other thing. Yeah.
The 2020 election. Did Trump win 2020? And yeah, I get it. It speaks to, protecting democracy or whatever, but it's not what people want. Like that's so like anyone in the middle or left just sees those people as crazy or whatever. So it's not like, I don't think people care. That's not moving the needle for it's the do you condemn Hamas question, just sort of.
It is, but like, I totally
it allows you to take a tact to avoid the other issues. It's like talking about Hassan Piker instead of what's happening in Palestine. It's like a distraction. It's like we can spend 10 minutes on this talk about do you condemn the storming the Capitol stuff. I don't give a fuck. Like look, I do condemn, how they storm the Capitol, but like I'll be a part of a group that storms the Capitol for the right reason.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's like what Buddha activist was saying, right? Like we need some of that energy actually. And they love George W. Bush, who actually staged a successful insurrection in 2000, right? They love him. They miss him. That was successful. So they're fine actually with it. I mean, all of it is just a smokescreen so they don't have to talk about any of the real issues, because what would they actually talk about? You have Katie Porter, who this is like the worst, most tone deaf ad that she just put out, but who says she's against the billionaire tax.
She said that proudly in the debate and went against Steyer. I mean, it was crazy. I didn't watch the whole debate. I watched most of it. I just had to tap out.
I mean, I
need my sanity. But like, okay, so she starts this thing like bringing up like, oh, you boys, and like you shouldn't be. It was silly, and then
I'm a lady who gets things done.
I'm a lady who gets things done, and then nobody was even talking to her or about her, and she brought up like, how dare you guys bring up my. Her angry moment. I don't know what I forget the phrasing, but it just blew me away. Like nobody was talking about you being a shitbag to your employees and how you treat people. And you're just like, how dare you guys talk about that thing that nobody's talking about? Like,
I mean, I have to say, so I didn't watch that debate, but so this is the ad because it's insane to me. She brings it up like she cannot help herself. It's obviously like she knows how bad she looks, and so she's trying to sort of own it with a jokey kind of.
And that was the debate. She was ready for a moment about that comment, and nobody went there, and she just threw it out there.
That little girl was me. Quick, print it up on print. Go to print. Okay, so this is her ad. It's only 30 seconds, but it's insane.
I'm Katie Porter, and I'm not like most people who run for governor. I actually get what you're going through. A single mom of 3 kids, I know what it's like to push the shopping cart. My minivan has almost 200,000 miles. I have a grown kid who may soon be living on my couch. To give Californians what they need, it's going to take standing up to Donald Trump, calling out greedy corporations, and stepping on some toes along the way. Now, could you guys please get out of my shot?
The dumbest. I swear to God, these political consultants, so many of them are just in this little circle of like they're in the if politicians are in a bubble, the consultants are in a bigger bubble because they know they can't get work unless they keep that bubble maintained.
Yep. So then you're going to get 20 texts and emails. I'm outraged, Lila. Didn't you see our new ad? We need you to rush $5 fast to our, it's like this vertical integration of all the people who make the ads and the consultants and the people who text you. And I just saw somebody, I was going to say this and I didn't want, I'm going to put it off on Miranda. Sorry. First of all, yes, it does feel like a lot of people are on this. And then I was like, are they conditioning us all to get used to eating less? Like, why is this? Everybody's on Ozempic now. Everybody, Mike Huckabee, Katie Porter, like, what is this thing that is happening where we're all being starved?
I don't know what's happening with it, but it's going to make me, I've always been attracted to fit people, but I like, now you're fat. Okay. You're probably better for me. I don't know. Like, it looks so unhealthy. I think we're in a rebound society where we're going to not like that. Like,
yeah. And what's going to happen when it
very
runs out?
Unhealthy looking to me.
I agree. Cause it's like a dehydrated look.
Yeah. But if you're Katie Porter and you want to own this moment, go ahead and pull a Beto, I was a bitch, like, swear or something like, I shouldn't have been a bitch to my staff, but I'm a working mom. I had all these pressures and I feel bad about it.
Exactly. Not
just
a
own it.
joke. Yeah.
And when I criticized the debate a little bit about her in that moment, I just one tweet or something, all these people are like, well, the people that she insulted apologize. Oh, they accepted her apology.
Right.
No, that doesn't work. Like these are, if you're working for Katie Porter, you want a future in the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
So your apology means nothing because you're trying to pursue.
Like, no, she asked me to beat her. She likes it when I smack her around. She loves it.
Yeah, like that's. Oh well, the abuser, the person Chris Brown's punched in the face is like
Rihanna.
still with him. So Rihanna's still with him.
All right. It was then a second person who also did, but yes, it's all so absurd. I know how to push a shopping cart. Like, what do you, also, I didn't, she whizzes through some of her policies so quickly. Does she actually want to abolish ICE? I don't know. I didn't hear her say that. So she does want that. She wants no profit college or whatever, a living wage, a greener economy, probably a greener army, like whatever, all of her stupid shit, but she doesn't want a tax on billionaires. So none of that means anything. And you know why it doesn't? Because she has other people holding up signs that flash through a second a cut. And then you're like, oh, you must really care about those policies.
Yeah. And her only real moment at the debate was her trying to do a gotcha moment to Tom Steyer that he supports the billionaire tax. That's her gotcha moment. Like, wow. Are you telling me you support the billionaire tax?
Just a player in the game.
Crazy. Yep. That is crazy.
Yep.
And they're trying to push it as like, oh, it's so bad economically for the state, regardless. Well, you're not a leftist if you don't understand how much bullshit's behind that argument. Like, yes, okay, the bill channels money to certain areas and you can find groups that aren't getting the money from the bill.
Right.
But that just means, which Steyer said correctly, you go harder, you add things, I wish it went farther, but like, there's nothing wrong. Like, billionaires leaving the state, good. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That is
They're
not
parasites.
You're not donating. You are.
I mean, I'll
abusing
tell
it.
you the fact that, I mean, I've never liked her at all because of her whole Liz Warren thing. But the fact that also Ro Khanna, says that it's fine that they're billionaires, but they should pay their fair share. If they paid their fair share, they wouldn't be billionaires. Like, it's impossible to be a billionaire if you are fair. You have to steal labor and steal resources. That's the only way.
Tom Steyer is the best one running. I mean, Butch Ware, I don't know, somebody else maybe, but fuck Tom Steyer. You're rich as fuck. And a couple of the Democrats on stage correctly called it out. Like, we'll give your money back then.
Yeah, but every time they say that, good night, Stephen. Every time they say that, they end up making more money. Like, yeah.
Of course, these guys can, but also, Tom Steyer made his money in immoral ways.
Yeah, private
so
prisons,
I don't
right?
have any love to see him as our governor, but on the stage, he is hands down the best one on that debate stage, at least.
I mean, what a disaster! What a total flipping disaster.
I mean, I would take Butch Ware all day. All day. And I'm not saying I'm going to vote for Tom Steyer. I don't, it's probably not going to matter because as much as we have a jungle primary where the top two get out of the primary, so it could be 2 Republicans, but it won't be because all the Democrats will consolidate. Democrats going to win. Whoever that is going to win. But Javier Becerra is an absolute shitbag, and he killed healthcare in this state several times. We no, I don't want him to win, period.
Yep. No, I totally
I will
agree.
vote against him winning in any capacity it takes.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And yeah, I mean, listen, David saying the one-time tax on billionaires is a trick, which I mean, I totally agree. Like, I will say, and who knows what happens because we've done this now with Gavin Newsom for the last however many years. But he says there has to be Medicare for all, and there are a couple other things that I agree with, but I don't trust him. He'll get in office and be like, oh, but it's just impossible. And then also, the one-time tax, and that's why also with Ro Khanna, why is there a one-time tax? Under Eisenhower, we had a 92% tax rate on the wealthy. That was when we had the middle class.
Look, I agree about the one-time tax being, let's just make it
not
put
sufficient,
it in tax
right.
code
Yeah.
or whatever. Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, I know.
But also, let's get a win. and this bill, no matter what, is a win, right? It doesn't block out future tax increases. It doesn't set the tax code. It says this is a one-time tax.
Right.
It doesn't say we can't amend the tax code or we can't find other sources of money.
That worked this
not a
year. Let's keep it going. Yeah.
But to vote against the billionaire tax, which is actually if it wasn't actually taxing billionaires, this is one of those clean environment things sponsored by Chevron. But it's not that.
Right.
So
yeah, we have to do something. We have to do something because this is unsustainable. Okay. It's 7:22. Should we
should show a Lego video. Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking. We got a few different ones. We got
Strike is coming by to say hello. Sorry.
Hi. Lego. I'm trying to think which is the most fun one. Oh, she's so white. Look at her. Let's do, because this is where we are today, Project Freedom, Project Failure. Lucky. Hi. Okay. Project Freedom, Project Failure.
Yeah. Trump with another clown plan. Project Freedom, Project Failure. Tried to escort ships, got burned in the strait. Project Freedom, Project Failure. Iran warned you once, now feel the flame. Yeah.
Tweeting big words, sending Navy through our water. Iran since they back, used to try to play their hero. Oil facility burning in Fuji tonight. Take a hit hard, glowing in the firelight. You thought you could roll in like it's your seat. Iran shut it down quick, now your plan is to breach. Project Freedom, Project Failure. Tried to escort ships, got burned in the strait. Project Freedom, Project Failure. Iran warned you once, now feel the flame. Yeah, 17 bases destroyed, now there's 2. You still acting tough like you didn't just get school. Epstein-class pedophiles running your show. Trump on his knees for Netanyahu, doing what he's told. Why should Iran talk? The terrorists at the wheel. You bomb while we talk and cry when we heal.
Drums of war are beating, we hear them loud and clear. We do not want war, but you keep testing here. Project Freedom, Project Failure. Oil facility burning, take a lid on fire. Iran patient, never strike first, that's our way. But push us again, you gon' learn today. Sacred defense, we keep our word. Yeah, we see you. Sacred defense.
You're right.
I mean,
It's our PR
seriously,
war.
it's like, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, you they're out of moves to convince us, our own people in this country, that any of this makes any fucking sense.
Yeah. Nobody is with this war.
So, like, yes,
at all.
we're susceptible to the truth if Iran wants to put it out in some videos.
Like doing more education than our corporate media. Truly. And yeah, of course, like it's propaganda. It's not all exactly right. I'm not saying that, but like to get just a glimpse of what the other side thinks, that they're rational and they understand the plight of the working class internationally and that nobody wants to fight these wars. I mean, I don't know. It's amazing to me that with all of the money that these billionaires have and the AI that they invented, they cannot come out with a single piece of propaganda that's as good as the, 20 a week that are churned out by these people. It's crazy.
No, they're cooked. They're not going to win this argument. Which gives me a little bit of comfort in that, like, okay, Iran is winning this argument. Iran has us on their side as their ally in this.
Yep.
So we're not like some 9/11 target, because the overnight, the thing that could end this is a 9/11. Right. So beware the false flag 9/11. Just saying.
Just like the first one.
Yeah. 9211. I don't know what you call it.
2.0. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think they've been making it very clear, at least trying, that they really, I mean, how do you even have a conversation with Hegseth or Trump or Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff? Like, they are, I mean, definitely puppets for Netanyahu and Israel. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't have any sophistication. Plus, they don't have the power to do anything, because they're on the phone with Netanyahu to find out if it's okay, and that's never going to be okay. So they know that. Why would they negotiate? Look at what Israel is doing around the Middle East.
Eventually, going to be negotiated out of, right? It is, but yes, they're dealing with two fucking rich little snob kids who are getting rich off of placating the guy they're responding to, and also Israel, which is a part of them getting rich.
Yep.
So they're not interested in a deal. They're interested in, whatever gets us, whatever Trump will accept, whatever Netanyahu will accept, or something,
Did you see Marco Rubio pleading with the UN to step in and enforce international law, because they are not allowed to rule the Strait of Hormuz? Imagine.
I'm telling you, this thing ends with them controlling the Strait of Hormuz.
Of course it does.
That's the one thing. I think they will give up the nukes.
I think they
largely,
might
but
say that, I mean, they said it on the 27th.
Yes, but
I don't think that they're going to be able to say they're going to give up enriching uranium, though. And that's where, because of the morons in power, they have made the enrichment of uranium the same as, they're on their way to nukes. And so we haven't had any.
But they can undo that part. They can overnight Trump say, I never said that. And,
right.
And Trump can give them that
right.
and land on, it was all about the nuclear bombs. Yes, they have control of the strait, but that was part of the deal to get the nukes, and we're all so much safer, and we're going to bring them into society and join. They're no longer primitive now that they have an economic stream with a couple bucks from the strait. Blah, blah,
blah. Yeah, exactly, Jen. The same Marco Rubio that claimed that a blockade is not an act of war. I mean, absolute moron. Also,
literally written in as an act of war.
Like
the blockade is clearly.
Of course, it is. And the interview with Alec Karakatsanis was so great. He's fantastic. If you have not checked out Revolutionary Change's interview from Monday, everybody should go take a look at that. He's fantastic. I love him so much, and thank you for letting him know that you're passing him our way. But that was a really great interview, and I just think he is. You know what I really love about him and Adam Johnson is that they're focused on liberals. Like, they know the right is awful and Republicans, right? But they are concerned with the liberal media that shapes people's perception of cops and the carceral system or the genocide, and it's complicated and all that kind of crap. They're calling them out, which I really appreciate. And wait, I also just saw that Truth wrote about Luigi.
It's his birthday.
28. I forgot he was so young. 28.
Do something with your life, kid. He did.
Wait, is that true, Jay? But why? Like, what's going on? Can they get him out of there? Like, why is this taking so long? Yeah,
they're going to stall it forever.
It's just very, very sad. Okay. We didn't even get, well, I guess we'll talk about it tomorrow. There is a lot. Okay. That's what I was just about to say. And then your super chat came in. Thanks, Justin. Ivermectin does not treat hantavirus. My TED Talk. You guys, this is the only one thing that might rightfully break might be good about all the flights shutting down, but it was not happening fast enough. This is crazy because the death rate for this version of hantavirus, Andy's version, which has human to human spread, is like 50%. And I think COVID was, what was it, like 2%? COVID had it was horrific, but like this is, forget it. And
I am, well, I just want to make it clear, I'm not rooting for hantavirus when I say this, but the high death rate could convince people immediately to take fucking some of this serious, which is very different than, I survived Corona. So, you have the survivor bias, which is like, I didn't die. Did you die?
Right.
So, some of this, it's awful. I'm not saying
awful.
I want any of this, but we need to stop COVID. So this is not it's not the next pandemic. It's an ongoing pandemic that we're going to be in if we don't do something about it. And it's airborne again. This is the thing. It's mask fixable is the point.
Okay. Let me just say, because this to me is so crazy. Spanish passenger on the Hondias. There are 23 people who got off on St. Helena and have been wandering around. Health authorities only began contacting the passengers who left the ship on Tuesday. 23 passengers from the MV Hondias have been on land for more than 2 weeks, and there is I think a 6-week incubation. They disembarked on April 21st on the island of St. Helena, 10 days after the first death on board, and began their journeys home. That is what a Spanish passenger still on the ship told El País. 23 people got off in St. Helena. There are 23 people wandering around there. And until 3 days ago, no one had contacted them, said the passenger who asked to remain anonymous. Okay, I need to get really close because one person who tested positive for the hantavirus in Switzerland, the man had returned from a trip to South America with his wife at the end of April. Having noticed symptoms, he telephoned his GP and went to the university hospital in Zurich for further assessment. There, he was immediately placed in isolation. A test that was carried out at the reference laboratory at the Geneva University Hospital revealed a positive result for hantavirus. It concerns the Andes virus, a hantavirus that occurs in South America. Unlike the European hantaviruses, which are transmitted through excretions of infected rodents, for the American hantavirus variant, person-to-person transmission has also been documented in rare cases. However, transmission only occurs through close contact. Therefore, they consider the occurrence of further cases in Switzerland unlikely, but the patient's wife accompanied him on the trip. She has not yet shown any symptoms, but is self-isolating as a precaution. They're investigating whether the patient came into contact with, but I thought he died and then she got on a flight. Maybe that's a different one. The crazy thing is, the very first thing that the WHO said was no need to be concerned. We're working with the ship's operators. In one of these pictures, well, first of all, the three on the right there aren't even wearing a mask while they're right by one of the bodies. On the bottom left, a person has a surgical mask on. And they're also saying that, the overall public health risk remains low. And as this person who's a really good COVID conscious follow, Martin de Kock, did a flashback to February 7th, 2020, as Dr. Mike Ryan talked about the cruise ship outbreak of COVID. Let's be careful not to overreact. Remember, in SARS, this disease isn't airborne. There was a great scare that this was airborne. It didn't turn out to be so. A cruise ship is a very particular environment. That was from the WHO, World Health Organization, February 7th, 2020.
Yeah, and I don't know that anything is going to come of this. We do have panics all the time of things like mad cow disease and some of these other things. So if this doesn't become anything, what it is though is I'm not worried about hurricanes because we survived them all, right? So this is why we need public planning, we need public safety, we need people to take this serious. And to be honest, the level of scare in the world right now of this makes me more worried because they're leaking that this is dangerous. They're leaking that this is probably being spread person to person. So the coverage of it makes me think a lot of people know this is probably worse than they're telling us, which is different than that's my point, I guess, with this is like, we should be worried about this because they still have an interest to make us think COVID's not around. And some of those people that have an interest to make us think COVID isn't a thing are warning us about this.
Yeah, I totally agree. And this is a million times worse and faster acting if it truly does, take off. But like the surgical mask, I just can't believe it. Yeah, we'll have two more tomorrow. There's been such a push now also to talk about the brain function of children who look at screens, which I agree. Like I we didn't let our kids look at screens for a very long time, and then we put serious limits on it. I agree with all of that, but all of a sudden, this was like the week before the hantavirus became public. One study after another is showing all of these young kids and their cognitive decline and what's happening to their brains, and they're blaming it on screens. But those screens have been around now for 30 years, 25, 30 years. So the fact that right now there's such a huge escalation really makes you wonder, not really, because they will never say that we are all suffering, not from the lockdowns, not from the jab, from just constant reinfection of COVID. Is it the screens?
It's COVID. COVID is oncogenic.
Cancer.
Right?
That's right.
So cancer causing. COVID is cancer causing.
Yep.
Right? So it causes brain damage, organ damage, left and right. And you can test for screen time versus COVID because there are a lot of kids that didn't get COVID. I mean, not a lot, but you can find that population, test them versus they know. Our public safety people know.
Yep.
They're not stupid. Our
You
scientists
can test
know.
people who grew up in the 90s.
All the studies show
and
that
the
anything we were worried about with
aughts.
COVID became true. It's
Yep.
not like nobody
But they don't talk
disproved
about it ever.
the shit we know
Yep.
about COVID. If
Yep.
only, if anything, it all just showed that holy shit, you should all wake up and be scared about this. You should be cautious about this. The science is not ambiguous on this. It's
And
COVID.
it honestly has not changed. Like in 2020, even before the jab that everybody liked, like they were already talking about your stroke, your blood vessels, vascular system, that it was persistent in all organs, like all of that it was dysregulating our T cells, all of it. We knew all of it in 2020. And all of the studies now, like 98 million people. There was just another study that came out in January, 98 million people of the escalated risk for cancer. I mean, like, come on. But nobody talks about that. It's the screens. Must be the screens.
Yeah. And I wish people would just, even if you're like, I have to live my life and I have to do this, and it's just something that's going to happen, I'm going to be at risk and I'll take it. Okay. Yep. But you have a 4-year-old kid that's going to get COVID twice a year. Like, if you want their future to look fucking decent, we have to do something about this. You can still go out and wear your mask or not wear your mask.
Yeah.
But like, you're not fighting for clean air in schools. You're not fighting.
Like,
you're letting RFK Jr. disband all the fucking health protections. You're getting rid of vaccines left and right. You're letting all this go. So like, yeah, live your life, whatever, do it. But like, I just don't understand that level of apathy for your own fucking kids, because you should be fighting for that other stuff, even if you want to wear your mask out to fucking dinner.
Yep.
Or not wear your mask.
Yeah. It's like they never do the other thing. Oh, it's a biohazard level 3 created in a lab as a biological weapon, but also it's just a cold. But also remember, very early on, they showed that even just one infection with COVID did something to the part of the brain that recognizes risk.
Danger. Yeah.
Yeah. And that it diminished that perception. So, I mean, I think that's also, I think we all have sort of like, what is it called? Like the bias, confirmation bias, right? So you're like, oh, I had it once, it was nothing, which is so dumb because you don't know what's actually happening, right?
Yeah.
But also
that's survivor bias. That's like, it didn't kill me. Like, oh, I climbed on a roof and I fell from 18 feet up. So I can't die from being 18 feet up or something. On a roof.
I ride in my car all the time without a seatbelt. Haven't died yet.
So that's survivor bias. So, but that's the problem with COVID is like, you survived the short-term effect of it, not the damage it did to your body. And then when you die of a stroke, it's not connected to your COVID because you just had a stroke.
Right.
So
when you were 23.
23-year-old stroke.
All right.
Anyway,
super cheery and fun. Thank you so much to Derek Rasmussen, Buddha activist. Sorry, I'm like for coming on and gifting us with so much of your knowledge, and we really appreciate that. We appreciate all of you for being here. We definitely need HEPA filters all over the place. My goodness. And we will be back tomorrow at 6:30 Pacific time. The people who have been kidnapped by Israel and who are being beaten and abused and terrorized are still there somehow. Nobody's calling on the UN to do something with them, but in spite of that, there are other ships that are still trying to make their way and inspiring people and also finding some joy in their activism. So thanks to all of them. Thanks to all of you guys. Keep punching up.
Cheers.
Palestina, leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Och vi ska befria vårt land. Och vi ska befria vårt land. Från imperialismen. Från imperialismen. Och vi ska bygga upp vårt land. Och vi ska bygga upp vårt land. Till socialismen. Till socialismen. Och hela världen kommer att bevittna. Och hela världen kommer att bevittna. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve, leve, leve Palestina. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen. Leve Palestina och krossa sionismen.